There we go. Now we have started recording. What I'm going to ask, actually, I'm going to put everyone on mute. The settings are that you can unmute your, I see you, Sean. I see you. The settings are that you can unmute yourself. However, if you'd like to be recognized, the proper way to do that is to raise your hand, and then people will show up in order and you can be recognized by the chair, unless she has a mental breakdown.
Susan, how do you raise your hand?
Thank you for asking. If you go to, I see Jonathan Hopper has his hand raised. He's figured it out, and you can lower it as well, or I can lower it. Did you actually want to say something, Jonathan?
Well, I was going to bring up, you mentioned that there was a link for the delegates, but it's in the chat section of Zoom, and some people might not be familiar with Zoom. So at the bottom of the image, there's a few icons, invite, participant. If you click chat, that's going to open up a chat window. And that's also segues into where you can raise your hand. It looks like you could do a yes, no vote, tell somebody to go slower or faster, etc. So to raise your hand, just click raise hand, and then to unraise it, just click it again.
Thank you, Jonathan. We have a polling system for yes, no. It does have those functions over in the chat window. It takes some time, get used to Zoom if you haven't used it before. Stephen, I see your hand is up. Is it meant to ask? Oh, you're just experimenting. Okay. That's good. This is a good time. Play around, experiment. That was what the first hour was meant to be. The 9 to 10. Just going to go through here really quick. I see a hand raised. Robert, is your hand raised? No. Okay.
No, I was just testing it. I was wondering if something showed up on the screen. So sorry to annoy everybody with that.
No, that's fine. And I see that people have found the fun icons, the hand clap, the hand wave, all those things. Those are fun. Those are not the same as raising your hand. So if you have any problems, discourage people from shouting out, but if you can't communicate any other way, do that. Jonathan, I'm going to unmute you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm watching the chat too. So people still don't see the raise hand option. So make sure you've clicked participants also, and that'll show the list of everybody and who's raised their hand, and give you guys the option to raise your hand if you don't see it.
I really appreciate your helping people. I'm not as good at explaining things. Thank you. Brian, did you have?
Yeah, I just tried to share screen with the link. Is anybody seeing it?
No.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a second. I got to hit. See that?
Yes.
Everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's the link.
And I'll put it in our chat again since everybody knows where chat is.
Oh, okay. No, I put it there, but
right.
I thought you mentioned it was kind of obscure. Okay. Take it down. Bye.
It's good practice. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. This is a test. This was an actual.
If this had been an emergency. Oh, I see 3 raised hands. That's exciting. Who has their hand raised? Hang on.
Do I have to unraise my hand? Oh, okay. It's gone.
I can do that too.
Okay.
And I should. Let me see. I'll lower your hand. Ooh. Okay. It's not. All right. Does anyone else have their hand raised? Dorothy, yes.
Hey, do people who already filled the form need to do it again?
No, thank you for asking. Chris, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I guess I'm new at this. The delegate process, obviously I haven't signed up, or I don't know exactly how to be a delegate. So I'm getting an echo because I'm on 2 devices. Let me get off this one.
That's okay. Chris, you're registered unaffiliated, correct?
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so how do I become a delegate for the state to then go to the national? How does that work?
Okay, we'll talk about national delegates. When you fill out that form, that there's a link to it in the chat thing.
Uh-huh.
You can indicate that you're interested in being a national delegate.
Okay.
Oh, hi, Nick. We will talk about that. Dorothy, you had a question? You may be muted.
Sorry, my hand's up from before. I'll take it down.
Oh, I'll do it. There you go. Then I'll mute you. Yes. Okay. Is that all the organizational questions that people have about how things will run? We will do, if we have yes, no votes, we have a yes, no vote system ready to go, not the one in the chat window. We may wind up using that. So let's do a test vote. Brad or Brian, can you bring up the Star Wars, Star Trek vote? I'm sorry, I said Brian, but I meant Reed. Okay, this is just a practice vote. So everyone vote your choice. Oh, I love it. Coming in fast, hot and heavy.
Hey, I don't see none of the above. That's the only thing I can vote for.
I know, right?
Right.
This is not a libertarian compliant vote.
But
Most
as,
of our votes,
a libertarian, I have to be non-compliant.
I hate those polls that give two options.
Wait, I vote no preference.
there is
I have never watched any Star Trek, but it can't be worse than Star Wars.
that is true.
Harambe in every poll.
There you go.
Okay, so
I mean, you have to vote for Star Trek, otherwise Star Wars will win, and that'll be the worst thing ever.
I'm sorry that wins comment of the day.
How do we see the poll results?
Well, I'll show you. I'll show you.
So we can't see it live. We can only see the final.
I can see it live. Woo. You can run for chair, and then next year you can run all the polls. And then you can see the results come in live. Okay. Has everyone had a chance to vote who wants to vote? Is anyone still figuring it out?
I demand NOTA as an option.
We've said that like 4 times. It's yes.
Just a test, people.
Most of our votes will be yes, no. So our poll will be yes, no. So I just wanted everyone to get a flavor of it. Okay, so we're going to end this mercifully. And I'm sad to say, as a child of the 60s, that Star Wars won. You damn millennials. Wait, boomers, whatever.
Post the results?
You should see them.
I don't see them.
Okay. I have shared them. It's 41% for Star Trek and 59% for Star Wars. 29-41.
Where would they appear?
They should appear.
They're not showing up.
Okay.
Just so you
should
know,
appear.
Susan, that's all.
Yep.
Say again? You talked over each other. I couldn't hear you, Joe.
No, I was just letting Susan know that the results did not pop up yet.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, so we need background music. Da, 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 da.
We have that.
We have that actually.
Oh no. Sorry I asked.
Yes. All right. Well, that's interesting. Let me try that again. Here we go. Share results. You see it now?
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
There we go. So you losers selected Star Wars over Star Trek.
I'm disappointed in
Is there a record of this somewhere?
No, it will be recorded by the secretary.
Yes.
Okay, but you said that only Susan's going to be able to see the results?
That is correct.
I took a screenshot.
Is there a way to have it seen by
It is recorded.
And
okay.
Can Susan see who voted for what, or does it just?
No,
give you
this is an anonymous poll. We have a way of doing I'm going to get rid of this now. We have
Just
a way
remember, it's not who does the voting, it's who does the counting.
Okay. And also remember that there's a lot of us. So just like a regular meeting, we can't all just chat. I mean, it is fun, but Ryan, you have your hand up. I'm going to unmute you.
I took a screenshot, so it's recorded.
Okay. Yeah. So, and thank you. In terms of anonymity, we have a way to do anonymous polls and non-anonymous polls. Most yes, no votes will be just hand raising, just as it would be in convention.
Okay, I'm trying to raise my hand, but it's not showing up.
I see it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Do you have
No,
something
I
to
was,
say?
yeah, no, you answered the question by saying it's going to be recorded, but I think while the vote is on, is there any way to have more than one person see the results coming in?
I'm not sure if the co-hosts do or not.
Yes.
They do. Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, you could screen share, right?
The problem with the screen share is it doesn't show the Zoom.
No, as long as there's more than one person seeing as they come in, I think we're good. Okay.
Yeah, I think if I screen shared
And the results are
Zoom,
recorded, so
that
we're
would
good.
create
All
some
four
infinite
co-hosts
loop.
can see it as well.
Okay. So any other procedural questions? I'm not seeing any hands raised, but that may be because I'm bad at this. So let me just flip through here. Okay. So everyone's had a little taste of how the voting will work. Let me actually call up the agenda. Oh, actually, Reed, do you have the agenda handy in printed form?
I do not.
Okay.
And I apologize for that. This is a trying time.
Indeed. So let me screen share the agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the first item of the agenda is Secretary's report.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let me get the agenda up. Well, Reed, you go ahead.
Okay, I will simply say on my report, we have 64, it shows 64 people in attendance, but at last check, whenever I looked at it, we have a grand total of 81 people in the room. So we have that in attendance. That having been said, we have, as far as a simple majority, it is 32. 2/3 majority is 42. That is the report. 32 and 42.
Thank you, Reed. Hang on one sec. It's customary. Let's see.
I have a motion.
I know Brian has a motion. Would you like me to display it on the screen?
Yes, that's what I thought was going to happen.
That will happen.
Okay.
So you're free.
That's the motion. It's up now.
Be free, right?
Thank you, Brian. Brian has screen shared the motion that, so he moves in accordance with the LPNC bylaws, Article 12, trying to remember why I wrote Roman numerals. Section 4, any LPNC member as defined in Article 3, Section 1, who is registered for this convention, be designated a delegate to this convention. And is there a second for this motion? You can just unmute yourself and second.
I will second the motion.
That's Stephen?
Second.
Correct.
Okay, we have a second from Stephen DiFiore. And let's, I want to ask if there is any, John, I forgot to thank John for serving as parliamentarian. Is it all right to accept this motion without challenge?
You can ask if you can say something to the effect, if there are no objections, the motion is accepted.
Okay. So I'm going to ask people who are doing things that are not meeting related to mute. Is there any objection to this motion as presented by Brian and seconded by Stephen DiFiore? You can unmute yourself to object. Okay. Not hearing any objection. So I'm going to, so that is in effect. Everyone who has been credentialed as an eligible delegate is a delegate to this convention. Brian, does that satisfy the sense of your motion?
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. Now sorry. Sorry guys, I'm looking at my agenda.
The next item is to approve the agenda.
It is, and but I just want to find my agenda before we keep going on this, my copy of it. Here we go. All right, here we go. So the next item, as Brian has pointed out, is the adoption of the agenda. And you'd probably like to see that. Reed, did you have a chance to pull it up?
No, I did not.
Okay. I will post it.
Susan, if it'll help, I'll just post up my proposed amendment and we can discuss it. Since you don't seem to be able to find it right away,
I have it. I'm just wondering how I can best post it from my phone to my computer. Your agenda, let's see. Yeah. What is that beeping? Was that you, Brian?
No.
Okay. Okay. Hang on.
Hey, Reed.
Yes.
It's Joe. Would you be able to check the waiting room? I think Ryan had an issue and had to back out, and he's trying to get back in.
Absolutely. Moved him back in.
Okay, Reed, can you get my email that I sent with the agenda that came from?
I can post the one in share screen as far as what's in the executive session, as far as the agenda on Slack. Will that suffice?
Yeah, that's fine.
One moment. It should be displayed.
Yes, can you embiggen it some?
Let's see.
Or maybe not. There we go. Thank you. I'm concerned that you're sharing some private stuff there. So
They can only see what is on my screen, and that is currently the agenda. They can't scroll.
can you take that down?
Sure.
Reed, there's a thread there that.
Yeah, just take that down. Please take it down. Thank you.
Got it.
Yeah, there was a thread.
Brian,
Okay.
you wanted to be
Hang on a
recognized?
second. I got it here.
Thank you.
I can't share it because somebody else is sharing.
I took the liberty of sharing it. If you want to use yours instead, you can.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I know that, but I can't see what you're sharing. All right, never mind.
Why can you not see what I'm sharing?
I don't know.
All right, then maybe I'm not sharing it. I'll shut up.
Or you're just sharing a snipping tool.
Yeah, I see a snipping tool.
If
a
you
white
both
line.
share, if you both share at the same time, the person who got in first will show up unless the meeting host cancels their share. So you can't share at the same time.
Okay, hang on.
Right, but I'm not seeing what Mike is sharing.
Okay, there we go. Now, Mike, will you share that? I saw it for a moment and then it disappeared.
It was Brian's, I think.
There we go. Thank you. That's a proposed agenda. Brian, I know you indicated you wanted to amend it.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Has everyone had a chance to look at the proposed agenda?
Yes.
We can take that down.
No, I can't see the proposed amendment.
Right, because we're just looking at the proposed agenda. Now Brian is going to offer his amendment, which I believe is mostly or entirely adding times.
Do you want me to do it now?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's kind of OBE now since we're a half hour behind schedule.
That is correct.
Hang on a second.
You might.
We can adjust it.
If we need to. I'm not sure we need to, but.
That's up to the convention. Can everybody see that?
So Brian offers an agenda with proposed times, a schedule. Is there a second for changing the proposed agenda to Brian's offering?
It's already behind schedule.
Is there a second, not discussion?
Michael Munger would like to second.
I will accept, and I will accept friendly amendments. We want to slip the times a half hour.
If there's a second for the motion to accept the agenda with times, I do want to take some chair privilege and say it doesn't matter if we do it 30 minutes or slip it. We're not going to be able to follow an exact schedule. We don't anyway. It's nice to have. Anyway, I'm not going to speak to the motion or against it. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, may I speak to my motion?
Certainly.
The reason I'm suggesting that we have at least have a time limit is, Libertarian conventions have a tendency to get drone on and on about issues that we already agree on. So we should have a time limit for each of these business items.
Point of information, the parliamentarian has his hand up.
John, thank you. Reed. John?
I just wanted to speak to the motion. That's all. If Brian is done.
Have you finished?
No, I wasn't, but go ahead.
I understand Brian's concern about certain items on the agenda perhaps taking too long. I don't think a time frame like this is probably the best way to do it. So I would not add times to each part of the agenda, and I'd leave the agenda as it is.
Is there any other discussion? Okay.
There's a few hands raised. I'm one of them, so I'll go ahead and say something. No, I agree with John Underwood. I've been involved with a bunch of Zoom calls the past few weeks and in my career, and there's a lot of, potentially a lot of new people that are not familiar with this type of platform. So we might not want to, regiment our time and give everybody all the time they need to work through this, especially since this is our first go run.
Thank you. Let's see, you said there were other questions. Did you put your, no.
Tom Howe has his hand up, Susan.
Thank you. I'm not. Tom?
Yes. I'm just going to comment on parliamentarians participating in the debate. I think you can either be the parliamentarian or you can participate. I don't see how you can do both.
Thank you, Tom. You're right. I apologize.
Thank you, Tom. That's a good point. Were there other hands raised? And Dr. Munger asks if people will identify themselves when they begin to speak, as it's not always easy to see who is speaking. I don't see any other hands raised.
I've been raising my hand, but you don't seem to see it. As I said at the outset, I would accept any amendments to maybe just provide a time limit for each of these items.
Okay.
But if there's no one wants to suggest one, for example, a 15-minute time span for reading resolutions, a 15-minute time span for the platform committee report. But if nobody wants to make that, I will let the motion stand as written.
Eric, you raised your hand.
Hi, yeah, this is Eric Lindborg. I don't think we should set time limits on this. I think we can probably handle it by making motions to move on if we feel that we're stuck. And then we can vote on that. And if the majority of the group feels we need to move on, then we can move on rather than just get stuck.
Travis, I see your hand.
I would accept the motion to put a time limit on it, maybe 15-minute caps to just keep things rolling.
Second.
Hang on. Does the mover agree with that amendment?
To be clear, you're saying 15 minutes for each item?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Is there any objection to that change? Trying to think, John.
No, the only person needs to approve it is the seconder.
Correct. So that is now the primary. That is now the motion on the floor. Dr. Munger, you had your hand up, but it's no longer. That hat is fantastic, by the way. Okay. I don't think I'm missing any other hands. I think you get popped up to the top. I think I'm getting this down.
Can everybody see the changes I'm typing in?
Yes.
Because I can't see anybody now.
So I think we all see where this is going, 15 minutes for each item. Are there,
Susan, this is Joe.
Yeah.
Both Tom Howe and Ace Hogerson have their hands.
I thought they popped up. Tom?
Oh, sorry, I had trouble unmuting. The screens jump around. After you eliminated the times, I don't see how this is different from the original agenda. Would you explain that?
Yes, we're not eliminating the times. We're setting 15 minutes for each agenda item.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Ace?
I was making sure I'm unmuted. it's hard to know how to vote on this. I don't know how many resolutions have been introduced. Is 15 minutes long enough for that? I don't know what the platform committee report consists of. It seems arbitrary to assign 15 minutes to each of these when some could take 0 minutes and some could take 30 minutes.
Are you asking a question or you're speaking to the motion? Okay.
I'm speaking against the, I don't know if I'm speaking against the amendment or the main motion, but
okay.
I agree with the first few speakers that the convention itself can limit the time on any of these items by, a motion at any time.
Okay.
I don't see the need to do any of this.
Okay. Were there any other hands raised?
Susan, this is Joe again. We have Brian has his hand raised.
I see Eric.
Yeah, Eric, Rod, Seth. Those three have their hands raised.
Okay, Eric?
Yes, the original timeline had platform committee 30 minutes. I would like to make a friendly amendment to restore the platform committee to 30 minutes.
Brian?
I would say at this point, I think we're spending way too much time on this. And I would defer to those who think that we can set a time limit as the events come up. To answer the question about, as far as I know, there is no platform. The platform committee report is a simple,
can we,
no recommendations.
Can we,
so what I'm leading to is withdrawing the motion. So
this is John. The motion has been presented to and seconded, so it's now the ownership of the convention.
Is there any objection to just going to an up or down vote on this?
Well,
I think Ryan still
we're not ready for that because someone just made a second friendly amendment to change the platform committee, I forget which item, to 30 minutes.
And you have rejected that?
I haven't spoken to that yet. Could somebody, whoever made it, can they repeat it?
That was Eric.
Okay. And which item was it?
The platform committee report, in your original timeline, you had 30 minutes. I would like to restore that to 30 minutes instead of 15.
Yeah, I would accept that. If this, it's up to the seconder.
That was Stephen. Ryan, did you have your hand raised?
I did, but somebody else already covered what I was going to say about the platform committee and nothing to report.
Dr. Munger?
May I ask that it's the sense, as the person who seconded it, may I ask that it's the sense of this motion that these increments of time serve as a guideline for the chair, but that the chair at her own discretion could extend or reduce them?
No, that's not the intent. The intent is to set the limit, and if the body, if the convention wants to extend the time, they may.
And that was my question. That means that you are requiring a vote if it's 14 minutes and 59 seconds. We have to stop. Well, not essentially. That the motion either means that or it doesn't.
Yes.
So you're saying at 14 minutes and 59 seconds, we have to stop and have a vote.
We're not here to have debate. Are you speaking
yes.
for the motion or against it, Dr. Munger?
No, he's asking a question. I'm answering yes.
I was asking about its meaning.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the answer?
It is clear to me now what the meaning is. Thank you.
Tom, did you have your hand raised? Tom Howe? You're muted. I'm unmuting you. Did you have your hand raised, Tom?
My hand was raised from before. It never got taken down.
Got it. Thank you. Now it is. And you're muted again. All right. If there's no other, Lonnie Holcomb, I see your hand raised. I've unmuted you. I think I've unmuted you. I can't unmute you. You're gonna have to do it. There you go. Did you have something to say, Lonnie? Okay, I'm gonna mute you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, call the question.
That requires a vote, I believe. John, is that correct?
Correct.
Is there any?
There's no such rule of order in the democratic rules of order. Let's just vote on the issue.
I believe what John is or what Lonnie is asking is if we can go to a vote on the issue. I see some hands raised. Dr. Munger, Ace, Travis, do you guys have something to add? You've all spoken before. Maybe your hand is just up from before, or do you want to speak again?
No, I do have something. This is why we need a time cap on this, because if we don't, this is going to go till 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
No.
Okay. Without objection, I'm going to go to a vote on this. John, we're going to a vote then on the amended agenda as presented by Brian? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Reed, could you pull up a yes, no vote?
I'll try.
It's the yes, no anonymous.
I'll get there. Hang on just a sec.
There is a yes, no check mark in the chat box. Could we
Got
just
it,
use
got
that?
it, got it, got it, got it.
I have a point of information. Are we voting on the amendment to the motion or the motion itself?
No, the motion has been friendly amended.
To the motion.
What's up on your screen is what we're voting on.
John, are you speaking? Are you meaning to speak to?
Yes, I apologize. Yes, the amendments that were made were friendly amendments, which allows the person who made the motion and the seconder to make adjustments to the motion, and does not require a vote of the full convention.
Reed, put a pause on the pulling up the poll since that's not going. Let's try the yes, no in the chat. Those of you who would like to accept the amended agenda as presented by Brian, hit yes. Those who would like to stay with the agenda as originally presented, hit no. I think that's correct. Well, that's fun.
With the shared screen up, I don't have that option.
That's fine. Oh, I see. That's good to know.
I don't see that option either.
If you're on your phone, you may not be able to do this, but if you have a web interface in the chat window, you should see yes, no buttons.
Right, under participants, there's a yes or no button. So just click one of those.
Yeah, you might need to look at the list of participants first to be able to see that option.
You will.
As Dr. Munger clarifies, yes is for the list with the 15 minutes for each item, and no is for the same list with no times.
I took it down. Should I put it back up?
No, it's fine. I think everyone understands what we're voting on. If they don't, they won't vote. I should hope. Okay, I'm not seeing any other votes come in. I see a vote for go faster. I can, okay, it looks like that's a simple majority, correct, John? Yes, it looks like that goes. So we have the agenda set with 15-minute times.
Wait, hang on. I'm not seeing an opportunity to vote on my screen. I was never given a poll option.
Okay, so we've gone
Same
to
here.
we've gone it rather than the poll that we used before. We've gone to if you go to participants, I believe.
Yes.
Everyone's screen looks a little different. There should be radio buttons for yes, no. One's green, one's red.
Gotcha. I'm on the same page.
Okay. Did I see someone else?
Requires 2/3. Does the parliamentarian have something to say about that?
Can you repeat the question? I apologize. I
He
couldn't
wants
hear
to know
you.
if it's simple majority or 2/3.
As far as I know, it's a simple majority.
Simple majority.
Concur.
Democratic rules of order.
Yeah.
Tom, Brian, okay. So it looks like it passes. So let's.
Rules override.
Tom, I'm muting you because you need to work on your microphone. You can't. No one can understand what you're saying. So if you can come back with better sound, please do. Otherwise, you can put a comment in the text. We really need to move on. Okay. So we are going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which now I have.
I cleared that.
That's okay, I've got it. The reading of resolutions. If someone wants to set a timer, our meeting is half over and we're just starting, so that's exciting. So I have Brian's, or I have a couple of resolutions that have been offered, and I will place them on the screen.
Susan?
Yes.
I'm not going to make my resolution.
Okay, was it just one?
Just the one, yes.
Okay, there's another.
Susan, this is Joe. Once you put the resolution up on the screen, I will start a timer.
Well, we're just going to read it, so.
Okay.
It is quite lengthy.
It is quite lengthy. I am.
Is the mover going to move it?
That would be Randy Peters.
Is he here and is he going to move it?
I assume that's what he.
Yes, he is here and he has his hand raised.
His hand's raised. Wait, I can unmute him if you want.
Yes, I'm here, and I and my colleagues on the executive committee of the Forsyth County Party or Forsyth County affiliate want to enter this for consideration.
Okay, I'm going to paste it into the chat window. Because I'm not. No, it won't all fit.
Hang on a second.
I can. Yeah. Do you have it up?
I do. Hang on a sec. Okay. On this list, it is going to be number 4 or 5, excuse me. That is the one to be considered.
So Randy, did you want to read that?
I can. It's not with the format. The formatting was lost, which makes it much harder to read. But I'll do whatever the convention wants me to.
I mean, do you have a version of it that's formatted that you would like to screen share?
I'm not sure I can do that. I'll try.
I will leave mine up until he notes that he has one.
The other option, and I think that would be good, is for you to paste it paragraph by paragraph into the text, the chat window.
We can all see it on here. Let's just read it. Reed can probably read it.
Yeah, so I'll be happy to read it. So, and It's in the chat room where it is formatted much better. Do you want me to read it, Madam Chair?
Then I will take my stop. I'll stop sharing.
Okay. So I am reading from the text in the chat room where it is formatted in a more readable way. So this is a resolution finding the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Food and Drug Administration, and their associated and subsidiary federal and state agencies negligent in abating and in fact contributing to the severity of the COVID-19 epidemic in the United States. Whereas the emergence of novel viral infections in various regions of the world has been apparent for decades, whereas since 2007, epidemiologists and virologists have published extensive warnings that novel coronaviruses producing severe acute respiratory syndrome would periodically emerge in Chinese wet markets, and that preparations should be made by public health agencies around the world to monitor and abate them. Whereas the H1N1 epidemic of 2009-2010 led to similar warnings and calls for preparation, including stockpiling personal protective equipment and ventilatory support technology. Whereas despite attempts of the Chinese government to inhibit the study and dissemination of information, and I'm going to switch over to my document, to inhibit the study and dissemination of information on the early experience with COVID-19, the severity of the illness and pandemic potential of SARS-CoV-2 were apparent, whereas the CDC failed to properly analyze this evidence and advise higher authority as to its significance in a timely manner, whereas the CDC mandated limited testing for SARS-CoV-2 infection and forbade the use or development of tests other than its own in the early days of the pandemic when widespread testing would have been most beneficial, whereas the successful efforts of South Korea, Hong Kong, and other Asian countries in control and transmission of COVID-19 were known well before the disease became a problem. In the United States, the CDC and its associated federal and state agencies advocated a containment policy that has had and will have catastrophic effects on the public health and social and economic well-being of the people of the United States. Whereas the CDC and FDA prohibited stakeholders in the medical and pharmaceutical sectors from responding independently to mitigate COVID-19 until the epidemic had reached crisis proportions. Whereas the CDC has neglected its role in the surveillance for and abatement of infectious disease in favor of study and advocacy for matters less important to public health. Whereas the CDC and the FDA have a long history of mandating centralized control of information and technology vital to the well-being of the people of the United States, of using the power of the state to limit participation of innovative and knowledgeable actors in the free market of health technology, and having a systemic disregard of the rights of the people to free association, freedom to contract, and the autonomy to make the existentially important decisions regarding healthcare for oneself. Therefore, be it resolved that the Libertarian Party of North Carolina and convention finds the CDC and FDA to have incompetently or negligently contributed to the susceptibility of the people of the United States to COVID-19, and to have made the effects of this epidemic far worse socially, economically, and in terms of public health than it ought to have been. And be it further resolved that the LPNC calls upon the North Carolina Congressional Delegation to demand an investigation into these failures and to hold those responsible accountable as allowed by law. And be it further resolved that the LPNC calls upon the North Carolina Congressional Delegation to enact steps to reduce the control of the FDA and the CDC over medical innovation and supply, to reduce the scope of the CDC to an epidemiological function only, such that its sole mission is the identification of and recommendations for the abatement of future epidemic threats until such time as it is disbanded in favor of independent agencies so engaged. And be it further resolved that the LPNC calls for the eventual elimination of the FDA and CDC as private agencies to fulfill their functions are developed by professional and consumer advocacy organizations. And be it further resolved that the LPNC advises the people of North Carolina and the United States that the pronouncements of the CDC and the FDA are poorly informed, premature, politically influenced, and more often than not should be accepted not in the best interest of the public health, and that prudent individuals will seek expert advice on one's health and well-being from sources not influenced by bureaucratic self-interest and political consideration, as appears to be the case in these agencies. That's it.
That's all, eh? Okay, so Some people have asked if we could, we're not at the 15 minutes, if we could post it to the chat window, and if everyone can not chat for a couple of minutes so I can post it paragraph by paragraph and it's not interrupted by clever comments. I'm going to do that paragraph by paragraph.
May I suggest it be posted somewhere else because the chat window's too small to read?
Yeah, a Google link, a link to a Google Doc would be better.
And formatted into paragraphs, not one big paragraph?
Okay, hang on.
And I suggest that the mover be tasked to do that.
And I would ask that people ask to be recognized before they jump in.
Well, I have my hand raised, but.
Yep, okay. So I'm gonna ask people to ask to be recognized. And if you're not getting recognized and your hand's raised, then ask me to recognize you, but don't just jump in. Randy, do you have that link as a Google Doc where you can, why don't you put it in one and then post the link to the Google Doc in the chat window? And then that was the only resolution offered. If there are no others that are being offered right now, we can move on to the next item and you guys will have time to look that over. Randy, can you do that?
I will try.
What?
I'm not good with Google Docs. I don't use it much, but let me work on that while other things are happening. Okay.
Hang on. It might be easier for me to just do that.
Okay. Can I email the Word document to chair@lpnc.org real quick?
No. Mail it to secretary@lpnc.org.
Excellent.
Raising. Brian, your hand is raised.
Yeah, I'm saying the chair should delegate the task. You need to run the meeting. It's already been posted on Facebook.
I just did. Thank you.
It's been posted on Facebook.
Were there other hands raised? I don't see any. Okay, without objection. There were no other resolutions offered. So I'm going to go on to the election of the Judicial Committee. So traditionally we place in nomination names for Judicial Committee and then we select 5. We're prepared to do that. However, I would like you to know in view of the special circumstances, I did talk to every member of the Judicial Committee who is presently serving, and they have indicated a willingness to continue serving if nominated. So it's possible that someone is prepared or would be prepared to offer a motion to that effect, that we simply nominate the current members of the Judicial Committee who are read who are the members of the Judicial Committee.
Let me go back into Slack and I'll tell you who they are.
It is Sarah Brady Wagner, Eric Groudsepp, Tom Bailey, John Underwood, Ken Pankowski. And
Ken is the chair.
With Ken serving as chair. And they have all indicated a willingness to continue serving. So the floor is open for nominations. They are all in nomination. If there are other nominations, let me know. If someone would like to move to close nominations, also let me know. Brian, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I nominate the names you just listed for the Judicial Committee.
Okay, do you move to close nominations?
No, I moved.
Okay.
I nominate the names that you just
Great.
list. I can read the list if I can find it.
No, I have it. Sarah Brady Wagner, Eric Groudsepp, Tom Bailey, John Underwood, and Ken Pankowski. Is there a second? I see Barbara's hand up. I don't know if that's.
I'll second that. It's Ryan.
Ryan seconds. Are there further nominations? So I'm hearing no further nominations for Judicial Committee.
There are 2 hands raised if you want to call on them.
I asked Barbara, Eric Lindborg, did you?
Yes, Eric Lindborg, I saw the question in chat and I agree. What does the Judicial Committee do?
I'm sorry. For those who are new, the Judicial Committee is our arbitration body. So if there is a dispute, let's see, over. Brian, I'm going to ask for your help on this.
Article 7 of the LPNC bylaws. Let me see if I can find it and I'll read it. Okay, a Judicial Committee can be composed of 5 party members elected each convention. The jurisdiction includes suspension of affiliate parties, suspension of officers by a vote of the Executive Committee, suspension of at-large Executive Committee members by a vote of the Executive Committee, void of Executive Committee decisions, challenges to platform planks, challenges to resolutions, censure of candidates, and interpretation of the LPNC bylaws and convention rules.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Did they do anything in 2019? Like, give me an example.
No.
Okay.
Traditionally, they do not. They have not been called upon to arbitrate very many issues. In fact, I can only recall them being asked one time to make a ruling. Are there other questions? I'm not seeing hands. Okay, we're going to move to a vote on this since there are 5 names and 5 positions. I think that, unless I'm wrong, John, we can move straight to an up-down vote.
Actually, you could accept a motion to vote by acclamation.
I so move.
Thanks, Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Brian seconds. So how does a vote by acclamation work, John? Does that mean, so it's not even an up or down, or just without objection?
Yes, without objection.
Up or down for the whole 5, right? Oh, no, you're saying just go ahead. Okay.
Could you repeat the 5 people again, please?
Yes, I can. Sarah Brady Wagner, Eric Raudsep, Tom Bailey, John Underwood, and Ken Penkowski. Okay. I'm just going to ask if there's any objection to that slate. Okay. Then their willingness to continue serving is gratefully accepted, I believe we are happy in saying. Okay. All right. Is everyone with their hand up, put it down, because I'm going to ask. So the next item on the agenda is the election of delegates to the Libertarian National Convention. We have 28 delegate slots. I know that a lot of you have already committed to being delegates, committed to the extent of buying your packet.
Party of Mobile. Okay, I think what I typed in.
With the National Party, or for the convention in Austin. I know that there's some. Charles, is your hand up? Did you?
Yeah, I actually have a question. How, or maybe you're going to explain that, so maybe this is premature, but how is the National Convention going to work with delegates and whatnot?
Yeah, I'm gonna address that to the extent that I can. I don't know is the answer. And no one knows right now. The convention committee is working on plans A through F in terms of, you know, either we all go to Austin in June as scheduled, May as scheduled, which does not look likely. Some people go to Austin in May and create the possible. So we can't, our bylaw, the national bylaws preclude having electronic voting, but there's some discussion about having a, having some people go to Austin and change the bylaws so that we can include other people, making it a mixed virtual and physical convention. There's some talk about delaying until July or even August. There's talk about canceling the convention altogether. No options at this point, as far as I know, are off the table. And there's at least 4 or 5 plans under active development. So I can't answer the question. I will say that if you're not prepared to travel at some point to go to the convention, you should not offer to be a delegate. I'm concerned that people are getting the feeling that they'll be able to be a delegate and sit at home on their computer and vote. That would be nice, but it traditionally requires a commitment to actually attend the convention, and we should still have that. Some people have already made that commitment by buying tickets. Sean, I see your hand is up.
Yes, I was just wondering if we have a list of people who have pre-registered for the Austin convention.
No, I was not able to
get that from the National Party.
Yeah, I asked the National Party. I was not able to get that. I don't know if that's just because they haven't had time to respond, but that's I'm not able. I have not been able to get that. In the pre-registration, it looks like 27 people are committed to serving as delegates. 22 are interested if circumstances allow. 2 would only do it if online was possible. So, I'm sorry, I'm looking at. Oh, I'm sorry, I see a note from from Libertarian Party. Is that you, Daniel? I assume that's
yes.
Ben.
Yes, that's me. I'm sorry, I can't change my name because I'm. It's the Libertarian Party account, but yes, that's me. I don't know if I can get it or not, but I'll look real quick.
Okay, just having the number would help, but having the names would help as well.
Yep.
So we have more people who are interested in serving as delegates than we have slots. We have 28 slots to the National Convention, and we have more people who are interested in serving. So we're going to have an election. That's going to take more than 15 minutes. I can tell you that now.
Susan, this is Joe. Eric Lindborg has his hand up.
Thank you. Hang on. We can do that. Typically what we've done is we have maybe 15 people who want to serve. We accept them, and then we allow the delegation chair to make changes to the list as people become available or don't become available. But that's not going to work this year, it looks like. Eric, you had a question?
Yes. Do we use an alternate system? So there's alternates that are lined up?
We do.
Okay.
So we can have we can have lots of alternates. I think it's like 20. It's either the same number or 100. Anyway, we have plenty of alternate spots. So it certainly people who do not get accepted as delegates will be put into can be put into an alternate slot. Ryan, I see your hand. Hang on one sec. Yes, go ahead.
No, my hand was up to suggest that people wait for you to complete your explanation before they start asking questions.
Okay.
Philip's hand's up.
And here we go.
Philip?
Yeah, I wanted to comment on the alternate thing too. Normally, what we do is get the a slate of delegates, and then immediately do a slate of alternates. I would like to be on the slate of alternates.
Right. Corey, I see your hand is up.
Yes, I believe on the form I submitted an interest in being a delegate. Since there are so many people here that are interested, and it's my first time, I'll willingly withdraw my name.
So what I'd like to do is I'm going to have everyone who is interested in serving as a delegate raise their hand. But before that, I'm going to finish answering Brian's question because his hand is raised. Brian?
No, that was again to suggest that you finish your explanation before we answer questions.
I did, thank you.
Are you finished? Okay. I would suggest, is there a list of people who you're asking for people to commit themselves to going somewhere, physically going somewhere in order to be a delegate? Is that?
What I'm going to ask is that I'm going to lower your hand. So everyone's hand should be lowered. And if you are interested in serving as a delegate, right now the convention is scheduled for Memorial Day weekend in Austin, Texas. And if you're interested in serving as a delegate to the convention, Ace, is your hand up for a question? Or is your hand up to serve as a delegate? You guys let me finish my sentence. Okay. If you're interested in serving as a delegate, raise your hand. There you go. All right. So.
Does this include remote interest if that ends up being the case?
No, if you are interested and committed to going to Austin, Texas on Memorial Day weekend to serve as a delegate to the National Convention, then I'd like your hand raised. So here are the names I see. Reed, can you take these down?
Oh, Lord, yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
I took some screenshots too, so we can have the list later, Reed.
Me too.
Thank you.
Hang on. Brent, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Are you asking for alternate people who want to be considered as alternates as well, or do you just want?
No,
Okay.
if you're committed to going to Austin to serve as a delegate, which should mean that you have your ticket already, but I can't verify that, then I'm going to read off your name. I know people are taking screenshots and I appreciate that, but here are the names that I have. Nick Taylor, Pam Adams. I'm not seeing this whole name. Jeremiah, your name is too long. Jeremiah Wade. Okay. Chase Roycroft. Everyone keeps moving. Jeremiah Wade, let's see, got that.
I can see the full names. You want me to read them?
Pam, sure, go ahead.
Okay. Randy Peters, Steve Orcutt, Ace Ferguson, Eric Lindborg, Eric Ransap, Nick Taylor, Steve Prinz, Thomas Hill, Sean Howe, Michael Nelson, Joe Garcia. All right, 1 second. Stephen DiFiore, Pam Alexander, Gavin Bell, Barbara Howe, Chris Cole, Matthew Losby, Hank Narrison, Thomas Bivens, Adrian Travers, Jacob Stewart, Janet Garcia, Robert Rayborn, Dorothy Watson, Chase Roycroft, Pam Adams, Jared Erickson, Jeremiah Wade, Travis Grew, Rebecca Nelson, Bob Durr, Jeff Scott.
Has anyone managed to leave your hands up? Has anyone written those down into a list?
I'm in the process.
Okay.
I put one in chat.
Let me just count real quick.
Susan, did you want to include yourself?
Yes. 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 20. Okay, so it looks like we will have to vote. And I have 2 names to add. I've been asked to place them in nomination. People who can't be here but would like to be delegates.
And they are?
Andrew Johnson and Beverly Wilcox. And
Before you proceed to vote, I've raised my hand and I've sent a message, but I have a comment and an objection.
Yeah, so I saw that you sent a message, but I don't see the actual message. But anyway, go ahead with the comment and the objection.
Well, my objection is the premise that you have to be able to physically want to go to Austin, because I suspect there's going to be some kind of a virtual convention, and therefore the opportunity for more people to attend will be open. So I think the premise of requiring that you commit to go to Austin or some physical place in the near future, in the unforeseen future, is an error. I would suggest that we simply post a list of people, nominees for the state convention, and choose the top 28 as primaries and the next 28 as alternates.
I second that. I second
No,
that.
it's a suggestion. That was not a motion.
Oh.
Okay, it's not a motion. Makes sense to me. I can't tell you what's going to happen in Austin. So, or I can't tell you where the convention's going to be, when it's going to be. My point was that I think people should be making some commitment, but your point is well taken. If people want to speculate, that's great. So we need to prepare a list with all those names, and then we need to vote, and we can do that.
I have a question, but I can't raise my hand.
Thank you. Go for it.
So we had not registered for the national convention because we were waiting to see if we could be delegates. And I mean, we still be considered because we will do whatever it takes to get there.
Okay. That's understood. There's a lot of interest, and that's fine. We'll just take all the names and then we'll vote. And those of you who are not voted as delegates will be alternates. And I hope you'll go to the convention wherever it is, whenever it is.
Point of information, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
There are currently 22 convention packages purchased by people with North Carolina home addresses.
That's good to know.
Point of information, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
I would, again, like to be an alternate. I do not wish to be in contention for delegate. Should I put my name in there now?
I think you should. Honestly, that's up to you, but it looks like we may fill up the delegate spots, and you can always get a delegate spot and then hand it off to another alternate or to a person who's on the waiting list if you get selected above other people.
Okay, I have raised my hand accordingly.
Okay, so we'll add Phil Jacobson.
Got it.
Reed, you're making the list?
Yes, I got the list.
Okay, did you add Andrew Johnson and Beverly Wilcox and Susan Hogarth?
I did indeed.
Okay.
Susan, this is Joe. Reed, have you added Brent? He said that he tried raising his hand, but it won't stick on the list. So
okay.
If you don't have him, please add him.
I will do so now.
Could I also nominate Christopher Wagner? This is Barbara Howe. Will you add Tom Howe? He went out to walk the dog.
Tom Howe. I think I heard someone else's voice. I think you can all, we can all go ahead and put our hands down now, right?
Yeah. Can I nominate
Yes.
Christopher Wagner?
Can I make a suggestion real quick?
Hang on one sec. Sarah Brady Wagner wants to nominate Chris Wagner. So add that to the list.
Got it.
Someone said they wanted, was that you, Travis?
Yes. There are 22 There are 22 convention packages purchased so far from North Carolina. Can we post those names?
No.
Okay.
Also,
No.
Susan, this is Joe again. Eric Rodset mentioned in the chat that Alex Smith was kicked off of the meeting because his battery died, but he would also like to add his name to the list to be delegate.
Got it.
Okay, are there any other nominations that we need to add? Dee, is your hand up just because it was up before? You guys can all put your hands down if you're up just for nominating yourself. If you have anything to say, let me know. Robert, do you have something to say, or was your hand up just? All right, everyone put your hands down. Okay. How many people are on that list?
1 second and I'll count them up.
Well, actually, John, can you throw those into OpaVote? And we also need everyone's email address.
Where is this list?
You will have to get it from Reed.
And honestly, I've got them wrote down. I don't have them typed up.
Okay.
So that's going to be problematic.
Does anyone have them typed up right now?
Madam Chair, would you recognize me, please?
Who said that?
Eric Lindborg.
Eric, yes.
There is a link to a Google Doc in chat where everyone could go enter their email right next to their name.
Yeah, we might as well do that.
We'll need Reed to confirm this list of
Wait.
delegates.
I will be able to.
Oh, wait, I just saw that. Okay, yeah. Oh, thank you, Eric. Brian, did you have something?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Number one, you said 22 people have already paid for packages.
Yes.
So they've already made the commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're going to elect delegates, and we're not going to be able to see all the names, and we don't know how many of the people we're voting for have already committed. So I think that needs to be taken care of first.
I'm not sure how we can take care of that. Do you have a suggestion?
Well, my second question is, what was the point of asking people to pre-register for the convention and it has to be delegates if we don't have a physical list in front of us? I do object to voting on a list of names without seeing the names in front of me.
On
Yes.
that spreadsheet, we could add a third column and anyone could check it if they've already pre-registered.
But we don't see the names in front of us. That's my point.
There's a Google
And the secretary doesn't seem to have a list of names either. He's writing them down.
No, they're in the chat.
It's on the
window.
Google Docs.
Okay. All right. Let's.
But it's not in this meeting.
Okay. Hang on.
This was a physical meeting. We'd have a list posted in front of us.
And that's what we're getting to. I appreciate the. Randy, did you have something you wanted to say?
There
I
it
see
is.
your hand is up.
Yes, just that perhaps we could add the people who are pre-registered in the Google Doc, if everyone can see that.
We could if we knew.
This is great. It's up now. He's doing it.
Susan, this is Joe. Just to clarify, when we're talking about pre-registration, we're speaking about the people who already registered for national, correct?
Is
Yes.
yes. Eric,
Yes, okay.
is this a spreadsheet you're making, Eric?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Fantastic.
So for those who were wondering, only put yes in the pre-registered for national column if you already purchased a ticket and you were already set up travel plans to go to Austin, or you were planning on setting it up.
So what we'll do is collect all the names, their status, and their email. Well, not sure we need to collect their emails, but, and then we will ask all the delegates to vote on the list of however many we have, 30 or whatever, 35, and select 28 delegates. We will need the list of emails from the entire delegation. And Brad, do you, oh, wow. So I see some people are making their pitches in the comment section, in the chat section. Okay, and people need to mute if they're making bathroom noises or whatever. Oh, okay, well, that's good. Thank you. I do have the list of people who are registered. I am not sure I can make that public, but I can check it against the list that people are submitting.
I had hesitated to make it public in case people didn't want their names to be revealed, and so that's why I sent it to you privately.
Correct. I appreciate that. So Mr. Fishman has provided me with the names of people who are who have pre-registered to go to Austin and attend the convention. I'm not sure what I can do with that. We're just going to have to take people's word for if they have. I can, however, I do know that Beverly Wilcox is one of the ones who has a convention packet. I'm not sure about Andrew Johnson. Okay. So, Eric, what do you need people to do on your spreadsheet?
Oh, I don't need them to do anything. I just thought we were in search of information documented.
Yeah.
And so right now, anyone who has this link can edit it. I'd like to change it to be the right permissions once we've captured the information that we should.
And did you put the link in the chat?
Oh yeah, there's like
yes,
38 people in this spreadsheet right now.
Okay, great. So everyone's editing it. Fantastic. Brad, can you send John the list of email addresses of everyone in attendance here who is a delegate so that we can let them vote?
I do not see how I can cut and paste from that list. I can access the list in the forms, but it doesn't allow me to select them. So I'm not a experienced Google Forms user. Maybe there's a way to do that, but it's not letting me do it.
I'll try to do that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here for a second.
If someone is an experienced Google Forms user and you can give them access to that form, possibly they might be able to do that.
Well, to be clear, Eric, it's not the form that you're making. We need to have all the participants email so that we can allow them to vote.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, were you talking to me? There's two Erics in here. I don't know. Were you talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we need a separate tab for just people who are not delegates? We could capture their emails? Because right now this is just delegates.
Can we ask Bryce to stop sharing the screen?
So this tab is delegates.
Mr. Munger has a point that we are over time on this item. So I would like to select delegates. There are a couple of possibilities. We can extend, there can be a motion to extend time. There could be a motion to let the executive committee decide who will be the delegates. But otherwise we need to move on. We are constrained by the time limitations unless there's a motion to extend time on this item.
I raise my hand. I would make that motion at this time to extend time for this item.
By how long?
As long as needed.
I'll second that motion. This is Jonathan Hopper.
I say move on.
Is there any,
Okay, who seconded?
Jonathan Hopper?
Okay, got you.
There's some discussion. Travis, was that you? No.
Yes, I think we need to move on.
Okay.
To the next item.
Order.
So, Sean, I saw your hand raised. I'm sorry, Brian had a point of order.
Well, for Travis' benefit, if this convention does not elect delegates to our national convention, we don't have delegates to a national convention.
Brian, please.
Sean?
This is Sean Hall of Durham County. Motions to extend should have a time certain on them, and I would suggest 15 minutes.
I would accept that as a friendly amendment.
Okay.
Corey, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to motion to have the executive committee choose the delegates, but if we need to elect them, I understand.
We're in the middle of one decision. So there's been a motion to extend time by 15 minutes, which I can tell you is not going to be enough time.
Nope.
Because we need to we need to collect everyone's email, send everyone an email, get the vote. So if you would like to, but the motion is to extend time by 15 minutes. We can move from there. You can just use the yes, no buttons. So an I extends. Adrian, did you have a question?
Fairly new to this whole process, but I just wanted to question, because obviously this is going to be the one item that's going to take the most amount of time. Do we have the ability to table this to make it our last motion of the meeting?
I'm not sure what that would accomplish, but we do have that ability. But we're voting on this other thing first, extending time.
Understood.
So hit yes to extend time by 15 minutes, hit no to not extend time by 15 minutes on this item. Okay, the ayes have it. So we'll continue. Has everyone extended? I mean, has everyone filled in their email address in that spreadsheet that Eric so kindly made for us? Ace,
That spreadsheet is only for the list of delegates. It's not for every person in that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I just added a tab for non-delegates, so people can go in there and add their name and email.
Okay. So I don't need names, I just need emails. Everyone needs to go in. Thank you so much, Eric. Everyone needs to go into that spreadsheet, put their email in there so that they can be included in the email vote for delegates. In fact, I need to do that. Can you repost that link, because people keep pushing the chat thing and I'm not very good at scrolling.
It's in there now.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I think we can do this actually. We just need to get the vote started and then you all need to check your email. So everyone go to that link right now. Make sure your email is in there. And yes?
Madam Chairman, please just note that I do not have the ability to access Google Documents. I'd be more than happy to verbally tell you my email address over over this meeting, that's perfectly fine with me.
Can you put it in the chat window?
Absolutely.
Eric Lindborg, since you've been so helpful, can you paste that into your document?
Oh, sure.
Thank you so much. You're now promoted to adjunct secretary.
Nerd at large.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I have a suggestion, or I have a motion to table this activity so that we can proceed with the remainder of the agenda and come back to
I'm
it.
going to roll that out of order because we just
And-
ruled to extend.
Can I finish my motion?
Yes.
That we table so we can continue with the other business and come back to this as the last item before we adjourn.
Okay. I'm going to rule that out of order because we just ruled to extend it by 15 minutes. If you want to challenge my ruling, we can have another vote. Okay. Ace, did you have a question?
Yeah, I think we can expedite this. I would make a motion at this time to accept the 20 or so people who have pre-registered as delegates and then only leave the 8 slots open for everyone else.
I
Is there
second
a
that.
second? Who seconded?
I second that.
Adrian Travers seconded.
Okay.
John?
Let me get that motion down. Ace made the motion.
So the motion is that we appoint the 22 people who have already registered for the convention as delegates. And let's see.
And the rest leave, let me refine the motion, leave 6 slots open at the discretion of the executive committee and appoint
wait.
everyone else as alternates?
Let me just say, you say executive committee, and I'm just gonna, I don't want to craft your motion for you, but it's traditional that the delegation chair.
Point of order.
Sir?
Point of order.
Yes?
Motion's out of order because the executive committee does not have a role in filling vacancies in the delegation. It's the chair, vice chair, or delegation chair.
That's just what I was saying. So thank you.
So it's not traditional. It's in our bylaws.
So,
Yes.
That's acceptable.
okay, so you will say that the, okay, so that the delegation chair would finish filling out the delegation and appointing alternates.
Who is the delegation chair?
The state chair, me. That good?
That's fine, acceptable.
Okay, and who was
Okay.
the seconder?
Adrian.
I was, yes.
Okay. Okay. Was there any discussion on that motion?
I would just say, if anyone that is pre-registered does not want to be a delegate, speak up now or forever hold your peace.
Okay, that's, okay. Sean was yes.
Sean Hall, Durham County. So what list are we referring to exactly? Are we going with what people are entering in the spreadsheet?
No. So to be clear, the motion was that,
yes.
Sean, the motion was that the 22 people who have pre-registered for the convention, and we don't know their names. I know their names, but you don't know their names. But we know that they have, we know that they are credentialable delegates and that they have already bought tickets.
Point of information, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I did put the list up as my background. People could click on the 3 dots behind me and click in video, and you'll be able to see the 22 people who have registered.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Question?
I think that let me go in order as much as I can. Eric Lindborg?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I just don't understand the motivation for the motion, I guess. It's my full intention to go, but without knowing what the future is. Financially, it's possible.
Okay. So you're speaking against it, it sounds like. Ace?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, we want to go in order. Brian?
Well, yeah, my question was do we know that the 22, since we don't know the names of the 22
We do.
people who were registered, well, we just saw the names briefly. We'd have no indication that those 22 people are actually eligible to be delegates.
They
The
are.
fact that you're going to Austin doesn't make you eligible to be a delegate if you're not a resident of North Carolina and a member of the LPNC. I agree with the motion in spirit, except that we don't have the definite name, which is why I suggested we move on, but.
No, fucking no.
Okay, good. You guys all need to mute if you're going to be using profanity. Okay. So there we go. Everyone's muted now. Dorothy, did you have something to say?
I just wanted to speak against. It's a large expense if you don't know you're going to go.
Okay. Okay. So let's vote on the motion to accept the 22 people. Let's see, were there any other discussion? Because this is using up our time.
Madam Chair, this is Joe Garcia, Union County. Sorry, Reed, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm on that list twice. One of those was for Janet
Okay.
Garcia, just so everybody understands. That's my wife.
Secretary's personal privilege. I would like to get the exact motion read back so that I've got it recorded properly.
Ace?
The motion was to accept the, I guess it's 22 or 23, whatever the actual number is, people who are pre-registered. They've already paid their membership to the state and national as 22 of the 28 delegates, to leave the remaining 6 delegates at the discretion of the convention chair, and to allow anyone else who is interested to be an alternate.
Okay.
Thomas Hill, did you have a question or speak to the motion?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to speak against, because if the registration window had been closed, I could agree with this.
Okay.
But I think it penalizes people who are taking a wait and see attitude, such as myself. But I am going hell or high water. I mean, I'm a senior staff member of one of the candidates. So that's all I wanted to say. I appreciate everything everybody's doing. This is not the easiest way to conduct business. I appreciate everybody's patience.
Okay, I do too. And we're under a lot of time constraint here. I think that we need to move on. I think that we're going to vote on, okay, I'm going to ask it. I see a couple hands up and I will let people speak, but I would like to proceed to a vote on this motion. And then if that fails, then I would like to proceed to a vote on the delegation. Travis, did you have your hand up to speak?
No, I was voting.
Okay. Okay, then that's it. Did anyone else have their hand up to speak? Thomas, I see your hand, but you already spoke, so I'm taking that down. Jonathan Hopper?
So just a reminder, guys, let's use our hand to raise a hand and then yes or no to vote.
Okay, thank you. Okay, were there any other hands raised about this particular motion? Tom Howe, did you have something to say to this motion?
Yes. You can hear me?
Yes, barely. Go.
Hear me? I'd like to point out that electing a person, a delegate who is either not going to attend or who is ineligible, doesn't have a strong negative effect, because we can elect an equal number of alternates, and they can be seated as delegates when the room at the beginning of the convention, when the absence is noted.
Thank you. All right, back to mute. All right, that seems to be it. So let's proceed if there's no other discussion. Brian, did you have something? Okay, you're muted.
An eligible delegate can't be appointed as an alternate.
Okay, so now let's proceed to a vote. So, John, please correct me if I'm wrong, but an aye is a vote to accept the 22 people who have pre-registered for the national convention as delegates, allowing the delegation chair the discretion to appoint the rest of the delegation as well as alternates. A no is a vote against that and to proceed with voting on 28 delegates from the people who have expressed interest.
That is my understanding.
All right, go to it, guys. Use your red and green buttons. And John, this is a majority, right? Simple majority?
Yes.
Okay. Reed, the vote I'm seeing is 40. Oh, let me give it a little bit longer. 40. Okay. I'm gonna give it 10 more seconds.
You got to remember, some of us are not very technologically advanced.
I'm one of us. Okay, I'm going to call this. I'm going to call it pass. I don't think we need a count on this. We'll count it as a voice vote. But anyway, it's 46-18. Okay. So we have the nucleus of our delegation, and we can work to fill those other slots. Thanks, guys. I understand that this is a difficult thing. This whole convention is going to be, there's a lot of churn and confusion about what's going to happen. So I appreciate everyone's patience. Did I mute everyone? I don't, like, everyone's quiet, so that's good.
I'm just staying quiet, but I'm unmuted.
Okay, so, oh, we have other business. If we, oh no, the presidential electors, my bad. So we have people that indicated interest in being presidential electors. Charles?
What does that mean exactly?
Okay. So the Electoral College is the body that formally votes on the presidential race. Sean, is your hand up to give information or to get information?
To ask a question, but I don't want to interrupt.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. Well, I was hoping maybe you'd want to answer the question. Okay. So the electors are those appointed by the state parties to elect that candidate, their candidate.
Yes.
So
yeah.
A largely
Basically,
ceremonial role. Sean, you had something to add?
No, please go ahead. No, well, would you like me to explain it? I can do it very quickly.
Please.
We presidential electors are the people who actually vote for president. The people that we select, I believe it's the number of congressional districts plus 2, will meet in Raleigh, assuming that our candidate wins in North Carolina. Then our presidential electors would meet in Raleigh, I presume still, in January to cast their votes for presumably our presidential candidate. And then North Carolina's electoral votes would be apportioned according to how those people vote.
Brian has kindly placed up the relevant statutes for electors. So we should have one elector from each congressional district, I believe, 2 at large. Yeah, so I think that's a total of 15, or maybe it's a total of 17.
So the duties and responsibilities are just a trip to Raleigh, basically.
If help me out here, because I don't think Brian.
I can speak to that. Yes, basically the only thing you'd have to do is in the unlikely event that the Libertarian presidential candidate got the majority of votes in North Carolina, you would go to Raleigh sometime in December and cast a ceremonial vote for whoever it is, he or she is.
Thank you.
And you actually get paid for it, but you know, you'd probably be able to buy a cup of coffee, but not at Starbucks. And there's also some restrictions about not being a political candidate or something like that.
Right. And as Brad has reminded me that you cannot be an officer in your county affiliate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Right.
But there's also even though we elect, Brad may correct me on this, but I believe the statute says there's one for each, let me find it again, one for each county, but it does not stipulate, which means 13 plus 2 at large plus 2 alternates.
So
but it doesn't mean that you have to be a resident of that county.
You said county, but you mean congressional district.
Oh, excuse me, congressional district, right?
Correct.
And you don't have to be even registered in the Libertarian Party. The last time we did this, we actually appointed, I think, 1 Republican and a couple of unaffiliated.
Point
That's all correct.
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
It's been a while, not a long one, but can we all take a break? I'm sure there are other people that probably need to go elsewhere for about 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, this would be a good time. Joe, do you have a video to show us? Not the 8-minute one. Maybe Spike could entertain us with the song. Yes, I'm sorry?
Before we take a break, shouldn't we either complete this business? Are you asking for nominations? What was the point of all this?
I'm 62. 3 or 4 minutes or a few more minutes may be tragic.
Yeah.
But it's like a real convention. Anybody can get up and go to the party if they want to.
That's true, but I'm recording this.
Okay.
I've already done it 3 times since we've been.
TMI.
Remember the pants question? All right, Reed's gone. Oh my gosh, you killed him.
Am I the only one that wore a diaper to this online convention? Or do you guys not?
I really thought we would be done at noon. And in fact,
wearing a pull-up.
The fun part is just to begin. I hope you guys did put your email addresses into that spreadsheet because we will need that actually for the other polls. Okay. Brian, what this may not be traditional and it may not be a cool thing for a chair to do, but I would entertain a motion to, because of the circumstances, to have the executive committee seek out and appoint people. We have had people express interest.
So moved.
It would probably be if someone said the actual words other than the chair because it's.
Well, that's exactly the way you're supposed to do it. I would, and at the risk of being the old curmudgeon I am, I would ask the question of why were we asked to submit our names if you don't have that list prepared so we can vote on at least that number of people?
Well, we do have the list, but experience in this meeting has shown that may not be as streamlined a process as we all imagined at the beginning. We can proceed that way. If there are no motions to do anything differently, Ace, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to get very complicated if we need to figure out which congressional district everybody's in. And
no, we don't.
No, you don't have to. My question was, we were asked to submit our names. Where is that list? It should have been prepared and be posted so that we can at least vote on those names and then let the...
No, you were asked to submit your names because I wanted information about who was interested. And I'm prepared to go ahead with an election. We can present those names and other names. However, I'm happy to entertain a motion that we punt this to the executive committee but if no one cares to offer,
I would make that motion. I think this is largely inconsequential and we don't really need to spend a lot of time on this.
okay, can you phrase the motion?
I would move to allow the chair and the executive committee to allot the electors for
Appoint, you mean?
appoint or assign or in any other way at their discretion decide who these electors will be.
Okay, is there, who was the second?
Peters from Forsyth County.
Randy Peters. So Reed, yeah, you're back. Did you get that motion in the second? Your mic doesn't seem to be working. Yeah.
I did indeed.
Okay, great. Brian?
I would point out the fact that the state statute requires the convention to nominate electors. It's the appropriate word. If we want to ignore the law, that's fine.
John and I talked about this. John, what do you think?
Brian, this is John Underwood. Brian, can you point to the part of the statute where it requires it to be done by convention?
Yes, I just posted it. Let me share it again.
Thank you.
Yeah, because John and I had looked earlier and that's not the way we read it.
Shoot, hang on a second. And you see that?
Not yet.
There it is.
GS 163-1C, presidential electors shall be nominated by a primary election, shall not be nominated by a primary election. Instead, they shall be nominated in the state convention of each political party unless otherwise provided by the plan of organization, which is not in our bylaws. And the reason and this is a good PR opportunity. It was last presidential election. It could be this time. All I'm suggesting is that we at least nominate some people and then we can fill in the blanks later on.
I live in Raleigh. Sure. Throw me in there.
Hang on, we're not open the floor for nominations.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
This is Joe Garcia, Union County. While the chair is reading this over,
I'm sorry.
I just want to point out what Dr. Munger had mentioned a little bit earlier in the chat. If anybody plans on speaking, please, before you start speaking, mention your name so we all know who's speaking. Thank you.
Yeah, so when it says the convention, I think the convention can do it by punting it to the executive committee. However, I'll defer to your and John's judgment on that. John, how do you feel?
I would be somewhat hesitant to do anything other than allow the convention itself to elect the electors.
Fair enough. So we have people who have indicated an interest. Brad, are you there? Did you have an opportunity to extract those names from the spreadsheet?
I can extract email addresses, I know. I don't know if it tells me names. I would, while I'm doing this, I'll comment that I think if we want to take Brian's suggestion to heart to try to get the best PR out of this, that it would make sense to have somebody actually winnow through candidates and try to select people from all over the state if possible. and throw in a, like we did last time, assault the group so that we're the only party that's truly nonpartisan by including a couple of unaffiliateds and a Democrat and a Republican if possible. If we can find, reliable ones that'll be faithful electors, then that shouldn't be too hard. But yeah, all I have here is a list of email addresses. Do you want that?
I thought that there were names on that form.
There are names on the form, but I have to go back through each one individually. It only shows me the consolidated list of email addresses. And again, I'm not a really, experts form user. Somebody else might be able to do better.
How many names are there? Or how many?
Before, and I texted you, but that was a long time back in the text message. I think it was 22, if I remember correctly.
That sounds about right.
But I like Ace's motion.
To punt?
Yes.
At any rate, the motion is on the floor. I have to decide if it's
Has anyone seconded it? If not, I'll second it.
It was seconded by
Randy Peters.
Randy Peters.
Myself then.
I've been asked to rule if it's out of order. I'm going to rule it in order. If there's a challenge to that, please let me know. Otherwise, we can have discussion.
As the maker of the motion, I am concerned about the legality of it. If the motion is in violation of the law, I don't want to be responsible for that.
Are you withdrawing the motion?
Can we have the parliamentarian give us a?
He said that he believes that it is not.
Well, you can make an argument either that the convention is making a decision to do this even with that motion.
That's my argument.
You can make that argument. So there you go.
That's my argument, and that's why I rule it in order. If you want to withdraw it, let me know, but do it quickly.
No, it's okay. Thanks.
Okay. Eric Lindborg?
Yeah, if we need more information in the spreadsheet, just tell me what it is and I'll make adjustments as needed.
Thank you. Brian Irving?
Yeah, I was good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was speaking, I don't know what the exact wording was, but again, my suggestion was to elect the names that we have and fill in the blanks later if the convention decides to do otherwise. I think we're missing an opportunity, but that's your call. I would suggest that the word nominate be used in the motion wherever it is appropriate, because that's what the statute calls for us to do.
Okay. Ace,
if I'm not mistaken in the past, Brad, again, you can correct my memory. I don't think we've, any convention I've been at, we've actually filled all the slots at the convention. We always had the opportunity for the executive committee or state chair, in this case, I think it should be the chair, to fill the vacancies.
What I think Brad was saying was that we have, Brad, you're muted. I'm unmuting you. What Brad was saying was that we had interest from more than 15 people.
Yeah, to respond to Brian's question, we do have 22 people interested in these 17 or 15 slots, whatever it is, and we have not vetted them to make sure that they are all not officers or not candidates. I
eligible.
Recommend that we allow the executive committee or the chair to take some consideration and get the whole list together, and then we can have a press release for the whole list.
Okay, we're coming up against a time limit. Sarah Sarah, yeah, I see that you have your hand up. Sarah, did
you? Sorry. I was just going to say that what's the likelihood of us actually having to vote?
0.
Yeah,
0.
So what are we really debating about with the electoral candidates?
Okay, thanks. Dr. Munger, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. Is it possible to say that slate would be the electors and alternates, and we also have to vet them. So we nominate all of them, and the executive committee would choose the ones that actually make it through vetting. So that would satisfy Brian's valid concern. We nominate all of them.
So,
and they will either be electors or delegates or backups.
No, because that's more than they are. But what it sounds like you're maybe offering an amendment to ACE's suggestion saying that we make the choices from those people.
Brian's objection seems good. We should use the word nominate. So we would like to nominate them as possible electors, subject to them being vetted by the executive committee.
Ace, is that acceptable?
Yeah, this is Ace in Franklin County. I would accept that.
And Randy, as a seconder, you're cool with that? Are you cool with that?
I am cool with that.
Okay. Sorry for the technical language. I'm going to put your hand down, Mike, because it's confusing me. All right. I'm seeing no other requests for discussion on this motion. And so John, check me here. John and Reed, a yes vote on this is to accept Ace's motion that the, Brad, are you waving your hand for a reason?
Point of information on the motion. If the vetting eliminates more than 7 of the 22 people and you go down below the number you needed, what happens? Is there a provision for recruiting additional people?
Yeah, I think that was implied in the original motion, was it not, Ace?
Correct.
Good. Okay, I'm good.
I think everyone understands the intent. I'm not trying to do anything shady here. Brian?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around. In the time we've been discussing this, we could have actually probably nominated 13 people
That's
and vetted them right here online, which is, you know, again.
Is that what you want to do? Are you?
No, not now, because we spent
Okay,
time arguing over what we should have done instead of actually doing it.
Okay,
But
so we're going to. Did you want to continue speaking?
Never mind. Go ahead.
Shall we proceed to a vote then? A yes vote is that the executive committee take the names that were submitted to be interested, vet them, the ones that were appropriate, choose as electors and alternates. If there are not enough appropriate ones, then recruit and find them and appoint them. A no vote means that we proceed to nominations and elect a slate of electors right now. Okay, I see the votes coming in.
Point of information, do we have time to do the latter?
I don't, we have the rest of our lives. So if we keep extending time, so let's not make that the thing. I see votes coming in. And it looks like the motion is going to squeak by. I don't, you guys, I guess you can see, or I wouldn't hear the laughs. Sorry about the alternator in the background. I mean the inverter. Okay, so it looks like it passes. I'm seeing 53-4. So that's that. Is there? Eric says he's in the lobby again. Got kicked off. I don't know if he's been let back in.
There's no one in the waiting room.
Okay. Okay, my bad.
If it's in order.
Yes.
I have a specific motion I had pre-submitted
on
this topic.
Wait.
Sean has his hand up.
Yeah, Sean has his hand up. I see he's making urgent waiving motion. So I'm going to let him go first and I will come back. Yes.
Thank you. Yes, if it's in order, please take people in order having raised their hands. Sean Haw from Durham County. I am one of the names that's on, one of the 22 names that's on the list.
Uh-huh.
And as long as there are sufficient names on the list that do qualify according to the executive committee, I would defer.
Okay.
You know, you put me at the end of the list.
I appreciate it, Sean. I don't want to cut anyone short, but I appreciate it. Let's try to move as quickly as possible. Brian?
Never mind.
Okay, great. So there was, Sean, I see your hand up. Are you being a smart ass? Okay. Just asking, because I know you. I love you. There is other business. Brian, you said you had a couple of motions. I have them here, but you probably have them in better form.
Well, they have already been taken care of.
We did not vote on the resolutions, did we?
No, I'm just looking at.
Yes. Okay. So I would like to vote on the resolution that was offered by Randy Peters. Was it seconded? The resolutions get that? Matthew, did you have a question?
I wanted to move to amend the motion, if that's in order.
I believe it is.
Okay, so given the failure of the CDC to recognize, or sorry, not the CDC, the WHO to recognize the independence of Taiwan, I would move that Taiwan be explicitly included in the list of Asian countries that have had successful efforts.
Dr. Peters?
I have a point of information.
Yes, Brian.
Did we do the platform?
Oh, for heaven's sake. We did not.
We're totally out of order on the agenda.
Yeah, we are. If it's okay, Randy Peters, I'd like to go back to the platform committee report. I don't know how that happened.
Sure, I will.
Joe.
For me to mess up the agenda.
No, it's my fault. Joe Garcia, as chair of the platform committee, you have a report to offer?
Yes. The platform committee had no changes that were suggested by the members. The members of the committee were myself, Donald Reed Deal, Eric Rodset, Philip Jacobson, Dean Matthews, Zachary Lentz, Dakota Lathrop, Stephen Caldwell, and Ryan Teeter. There was a public and I believe an email request sent out to members of the LPNC with suggestions for changes, and none were made.
Okay. So would you like to make a motion at this time? No, wait, do we even need one? No.
I have a motion.
You're not proposing any changes. Brian, you said?
I have a motion again at one of those pre-submitted motions.
Yes. To do with the platform?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to display it on the screen?
Hang on. I move that we adopt the platform committee report and its recommendations.
Its recommendation to make no changes.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Is there a second?
This is Ryan. I'll second that.
Ryan Teeter seconds.
This is John Underwood, Wake County. I'm not sure we even need a motion for this because it's coming from committee.
You're saying the committee.
Oh, fair enough. What else are we going to do? Not accept the report?
No, I'm just saying I don't. The committee itself has made the motion.
Madam Chair, may I explain? I thought the explanation was up there.
It is, but I have.
When I'm sharing my screen, I can't raise my hand. So
yes, I
sorry
see
about that.
No, that's fine. I interpret that as the committee recommended. Okay, so the committee has made a recommendation that there be no changes. I'm kind of with John Underwood here in that I think that's a thing. I don't think that needs to be approved by the executive. I mean, by the convention.
It doesn't need to be moved. I mean, it has been moved.
If someone,
but that's not my motion.
It is your motion.
The motion has been, the report has been submitted. Well, it's sort of been submitted because still haven't seen a written copy, but my motion is to accept their recommendation, which is to make no changes. This will preclude, as I explained, any amendments from the floor. And yes, a report is either received or adopted. In this case, it's adopted, which means we say yes to everything they recommend.
So let me just ask.
It has nothing to do with their actual report.
Is there any interest, is there any discussion from the floor about changes you would like to see to the platform that you've considered and you'd like to submit at this time that you haven't submitted before? I see no interest in amending the platform at this time because it's so perfect. So, John, what do we vote to accept the platform committee report?
Yes.
Okay, then that's what we'll do. So,
Point of order.
Yes.
My motion's on the floor. It's been seconded.
Yes, I'm going to rule it out of order, and then just.
And I object to the ruling of the chair.
Okay. Is there a second to the objection? Is that correct, John? Do I ask for a second to the objection? No.
No, I don't think you need to do that.
Okay. How do I poll for?
You're now asking the convention if
Right.
they agree with your decision or not.
Okay, so guys, should we go directly to accepting or rejecting the committee's report? Or should we go to Brian's motion? So a yes.
No, that's not what we're voting on.
Right, that's why I'm trying to get it straight.
I've made a motion. You've ruled it out of order. We're voting on whether the motion's in order.
Okay, I'm trying to get that straight. So that's why John, so we're voting on whether.
We are voting on whether or not your interpretation, your ruling is in order or not.
Okay, so a yes vote means that you agree with the ruling of the chair, that Brian's motion is out of order. A no vote, is that correct, John? A no vote is that you agree that that it's not out of order. Yes vote upholds the ruling of the chair. A no vote overturns the ruling of the chair.
Correct.
I see the votes coming in. And the reason I didn't ask for comment is because this is not a debatable motion. So that is correct.
Correct.
Okay, it looks like I just want to make sure we have a majority of people voting. We've got 40 people. A couple more votes would be good because I'd like to have more than half the people voting. So we're voting on the ruling of the chair, either uphold the ruling of the chair, that Brian's motion is out of order, or reject. Okay, so we have 45 votes. Okay, and it looks like the ruling of the chair is upheld. So then let's just proceed to either, okay, so everyone zero out your counter, and I'd like to proceed to adopting the platform committee's recommendations, which is that no change be made to the platform. So John, correct me if I'm wrong on this. A yes vote, but before you guys start voting, let's get straight. A yes vote.
Order. Question?
Yes.
That was exactly my motion.
Yes, it was.
Which you just ruled out of order.
No.
My motion was to adopt their recommendation.
So.
Yes, and we ruled it out of order because we didn't need a motion. It would already come from committee.
So let's vote directly on the committee's report to keep the platform as suggested or as written. So a yes vote is to keep the platform without amending.
There is a hand raised.
And I object to that because that is not what our rules say.
Chris Whitten?
Yeah, so I'm confused. It sounded to me like we didn't need a motion to accept the report, but we do need a motion to apply the report and that we don't make any changes to the platform. So do we vote on accepting the report and then we make a motion and vote on applying no changes? And that's, I think, what Brian's whole motion said.
I believe the chair ruled Brian's motion out of order because it was not necessary. A motion had come from committee to make no changes to the platform.
But that's just the report. So we accept the report and we take whatever in it? Or do we have to vote on the report separately?
No, that's what we're doing now. A vote is in progress. So we're voting on to accept the committee's recommendations for no change to the platform. A yes vote accepts their recommendation.
Point of order.
Okay, so we're not voting because people still have questions. Brian, you have a question?
My point of order is that the.
Go ahead.
My point of order is that according to our Rule 5, the platform committee is supposed to make recommendations individually, which the convention votes on. The intention of and then the convention gets to make recommendations from the floor. My intention was to cut through all that, adopt their report, their one recommendation, not to have any.
Thanks for saving so much time. I really appreciate it.
But you've ruled that out of order, and now you want to do the same thing, which is contrary to the rules.
Ryan, did you have something?
Yeah, this isn't a motion. We don't have to have any kind of vote on accepting a non-existent report. If no one from the delegation has any proposed changes to the platform, then we just move past this.
Yes.
Phil Jacobson, you have something? You're muted. Hang on, I'm unmuting you. Phil, you said something?
Yeah, I don't believe there's an option to accept or not accept. It's a question of adopting or not adopting.
Okay, since they've recommended no changes, what you're saying is that there's nothing to adopt.
Well, there is. The adoption is that we don't do anything, but yeah, whatever.
No, we do not have to vote on adopting to do nothing.
Wait, this is not open discussion. Raise your hand, one person at a time. Jonathan Hopper, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody that some people aren't raising their hands and just talking and unmuting themselves. Just to remind everybody, mute your mic, raise your hand, get called in order, because some people are getting more airtime than others.
Thank you. Hi, Josh Smith. I would just like to proceed. John Underwood, help me out here. What's the best way to proceed? Sorry to put you on the hot spot.
That's okay. I think Ryan had an excellent point. They made no recommendations, so they're not recommending any changes at all to the platform. No one else has suggested any recommendations to change the platform. There is nothing to vote on.
Okay. That sounds okay to me. I accept that. Our platform stands because it's perfect. Brian?
Yeah, my hand's raised, but you're not recognizing me, which is why I'm speaking out of turn.
I am recognizing you.
My point was that our rules call for amendments from the floor, which you have not called for.
I did actually call for amendments from the floor. I asked if there was interest in changing the platform. I'm sorry that you did not hear that. I'll repeat it again. I called for changes from the floor and I saw no interest in them. I was looking for hands. I'm lowering your hand now. Wait, I see a hand now. Ace?
This is Ace in Franklin County. Would it be in order to move a motion just to move on to the next item on the agenda?
No, that's out of order because we're moving on anyway. I was just finishing answering people's questions and we keep adding to them. So assuming we're all good, the platform stands, we'll move on. I'm just scanning to look for raised hands. I just heard a ding. Does that mean someone is? Okay. I've missed all these messages. I hope that there's, all right. Now we go back to the resolution that Dr. Peters offered.
Would you like me to put that up on the screen?
Yeah, if it'll fit on one screen, absolutely. So before we got interrupted by the actual order of business that we somehow got out of, and I apologize for that. I believe someone was offering an amendment to that. Matthew, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I would offer the amendment that in paragraph 7, we include Taiwan in the list of Asian countries which have responded successfully to the virus.
Okay, thank you for being succinct and detailed. Dr. Peters, do you accept that amendment?
Yes, I see that as a friendly amendment.
Okay, so we'll make it that way. I saw another hand up. Hang on. Oh,
Let me know when you're ready for it to come down for the vote.
yeah, sorry, I saw a hand and now I don't see that hand. Did somebody unraise their hand? Oh, Brian?
Yes. Are you asking for pros and cons now?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Are you asking for comment now, or?
Yes, yeah, we're discussing the resolution.
Okay, well, I guess I'll have to speak against the resolution. Not because I don't agree with the sentiments and not because I don't appreciate the very detailed and meticulously researched information. I just think it's too damn long. And really, we should be addressing North Carolina issues. And my last objection would be to ask the North Carolina congressional delegate to investigate anything is a total joke, particularly since one of the members has already benefited from this virus financially.
Okay.
So I'll be voting no.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, wait,
Oh, do I need to raise my hand?
yes. I see Dr. Peters has his hand raised, but I don't want to get too much of a back and forth. I'm going to let Travis speak.
I agree with Brian. This is entirely too long, and it's almost like a Senate bill. I mean, I'll be voting no on this. We need to be focused on North Carolina, and that is it.
Okay, thank you. Ace, you have your hand up?
Yeah, this is Ace Ferguson in Franklin County. I'd like to propose one change, which is in the first resolve clause. We talk about public health. There's no such thing as public health. There's individual health, personal health. Public health is a myth, and we don't want to perpetuate that. That's part of the problem in this entire crisis, is that we're thinking in terms of public health and not individual health.
Dr. Peters, do you accept that amendment or reject it?
I'm inclined to reject it.
Okay.
I understand what he's saying, but public health does have a technical definition that I think is widely used, and to take, and the phrase is used multiple times, and to take that phrase out changes the technical clarity of the resolution. And while I've got the floor, Madam Chair, I do disagree with a couple of the objections. One I agree with. There are a lot of whereases, because I think there is ample evidence to support the fact that we're where we are because of failures of public health officials. And I would disagree though with the assertion that the North Carolina congressional delegation does not have a role here. I mean, we do live in a constitutional republic. The legislature does have some responsibility to oversee the administrative. And I think that to ask the North Carolina congressional delegation to represent our interests is what they're there for.
Okay. Jim Dowdy, I see your hand up. I'm going to unmute you. Yes. Or you're going to unmute yourself and we'll both do it at the same time. I'll let you do it. Hang on, hang on.
Okay.
Now you speak.
Okay, in the first paragraph under resolved in the last line, terms of public health than it ought to have been. I propose that we change it to they because the word affects is plural and its pronoun should be plural as well.
I'll accept that as a friendly amendment.
Thank you.
Technical correction. Okay, that's fine. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the proposal? I'm looking for hands raised.
There's 2 more hands raised.
Hang on.
Tracy.
I see Tracy. I'm unmuting you, Tracy. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. I just want to further and try to usually only focus on North Carolina because our neighbor's success is our.
Tracy, I'm having trouble hearing you, but you're speaking against the motion?
No, let's not focus on just North Carolina and let's keep the neighbor mentality.
Okay. Let me look for other hands. Anyone? Jonathan Hopper?
Yeah, Jonathan Hopper, Rockingham County. I just noticed people were still asking for the link to the resolution. I just put it in the chat. It's the last message if anybody still needs it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I see what you're saying, Dr. David Ulmer. And I see no other calls for discussion. So we can vote on the resolution. So a yes, we're also going to use the yes, no buttons on this. A yes vote is to pass the resolution. A no vote is against the resolution. I think we'll want to count on this, so I will take it. While people are voting on that, we do have a call for other business, but our last item on the agenda, or the last 2 items, are straw polls. So these are just fun things for LNC chair and presidential preference poll. And we have mechanisms to do that. But I want to see if
Excuse me, Madam Chair, this is Joe Garcia from Union County. We do have some videos that were submitted by folks.
Yes.
So do we want to play those prior to the presidential poll?
Well, we do.
Vice Chair polls?
That's a good question. We do. We also have guests that we may invite to speak since they've gone through the process of being here, and I really appreciate that. So if guests would like to say something, then I suggest we take them for a minute. However, I think that my suggestion would be that we let chair candidates speak. I know Joe Bishop Henson was here earlier and had to go.
Announce the results of the vote before we move on.
We will. I'm just thinking out loud here.
Okay.
That maybe we can let some people speak for the chair thing and then do that vote while we're letting people speak for the presidential. or watching some videos for that. All right, so the resolution passes 38 to 26. Okay.
Is that 2/3?
Does it require 2/3?
Yes, it does.
Then it does not pass. Thank you, Brian. I was thinking simple majority because I'm a simple person. Timothy, are you saying that vote was 68%? Oh, then you say never mind.
No, scratch that, sorry.
Okay. I mean, that is not 2/3, right? My math it was instant math.
Point of information, it's 58%.
Okay, right. So it fails. It received a majority of votes, but it fails. Someone has a point of information?
Yeah, I
Brian?
don't see the results on the screen. You said
Correct. Because it was a hand raised vote.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Sorry. Let me see, were there other questions? Yeah, after. Okay. All right. So our last order of business is other business. And does anyone have other business to propose?
Yes.
The last order
Joe.
of formal business. Yes.
Oh, no. Joe Garcia, Union County. Question was posed in the chat by Spike Cohen and Brent Ritter. If we could also find time to fit in a vice presidential straw poll.
Here's what I would like to see. I would like to end business if no one has further business, and then do those as informal votes. And I'm happy to do that. But is there any objection to that? Those are not formal parts of our agenda. Those are fun add-ons to our agenda.
Brian has his hand raised.
Hang on. I don't see that, but
It just
you have your hand raised?
disappeared.
Now I see it. Now, yes?
I'm waving because it seems the way I can get it. Sorry, Susan. I'm just saying I'm ready to make a motion to adjourn when you're ready.
Yeah. I mean, does it? Yeah. I mean,
Got a motion.
One sec. I see Tracy is here, and that's I think where the noise is coming from. Tracy, do you have something to say?
Yeah, my apologies first of all for this first time running across Zoom trying to figure all this thing out. Did y'all go ahead and do the presidential?
No, we're about to do that, Tracy. We'll do that after the close of formal business.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm going to mute you because you're making a lot of noise. Okay. And I'm going to put your hand down. Thank you. All right. So is there any other, there's no other calls for business?
We have another hand up, Barbara.
Pardon me?
Barbara's hand's up.
Barbara, you have something?
I have a quick point of personal privilege. Thanks for doing the virtual convention. I know it was a challenge, but I think we managed through it, and hopefully we all learned something. Thanks for everybody for being patient.
Sure, we all learned something.
Thank you, Barbara. We all appreciate you.
I'm amazed and delighted that so many people not only showed up, but made it through the entire convention. I appreciate it. So that said,
Point of personal privilege.
Yes, Mr.
Sorry.
Vice.
Yeah, so just like to take a quick second to plug the nightly Zoom meetup. Since everybody knows how to use Zoom now, jump on and chat with your fellow libertarians, North Carolina libertarians, and maybe we can plan some fun events for when the government lets us back out of our houses.
I have to say, Zoom is a lot more fun when you're drinking. I mean, like, beer instead of coffee. But coffee's good too, though. It's probably a lot more fun. You don't have to listen to me arguing too. So, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Brian, go for it. I know you're excited.
Move to adjourn.
So, okay. Are there any objections to adjourning our formal business? Spike, I have not forgotten you. Okay, I see no objections to adjournment. That's fantastic. So we are adjourned. I encourage people to stick around because we're going to do the presidential preference poll. And if I have your email address, which I do, thank you to Eric so much for making that spreadsheet, I will add you to the presidential preference poll. But I think Joe is also going to play some videos. I know Spike Cohen, who is running for vice president, would like to address us. There may be other visitors, and I know Dan has been patiently waiting the entire meeting in order to do a great presentation. And I'm sorry we ran long. That was probably predictable.
Yes.
So we'll let you do your presentation, but let me get the polls up for president and chair, and then you can do that while we're doing those. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
But also, could we give Spike a couple, like 2 or 3 minutes, because he's made, and I'm sorry, Josh Smith. Who else is here as a guest who would like to address the body? Oh, Stephen, we have our gubernatorial candidate here, and I'm sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot, Stephen. I need you to speak. I'm going to ask you to do that right now. So I'm going to unmute you. Sorry, okay.
Give me just a moment.
Sorry. See, we're testing whether you're like flash ready.
You won't have a moment when the media sticks the mic in your face.
Right.
And you're always on. You're always on.
Always on.
Always on.
Mike's always live.
So I want to make you big. How do I feature you?
Wait, Susan, this is Joe. Also, don't forget we have Eric Rodsep, who's running for LNC at large.
Correct.
Who would also like to speak.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'm going to ask everyone to speak for no more than 2 minutes. And then so I'm going to spotlight Stephen there. Okay.
Well, there you go. Well, it's a good thing I'm so handsome because I have to look at my own face on Zoom. So, all right. So I'll make this quick. I know we've taken a lot of time, and this is, in my opinion, it's been a really good virtual convention. We all have a great opportunity to connect to each other, even during state mandated, how do you say it, social distancing. And usually in conventions, there's a lot of glad handing, a lot of handshaking, a lot of meeting people in person. That being said, my information as far as how you can reach out to me, you can reach out to me via email, you can reach out to me via Facebook, through the campaign site when the links are up. And if anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, you have a desire to help, a helpful suggestion even, I would very much like to hear from you. Part of running for governor of North Carolina for the Libertarian Party is to not only put forth the best ideas to the public sphere for this election, and to give the people of North Carolina more choices than just red or blue, but to also help highlight and spotlight our other great candidates across the state. Whether you're running for federal office as part of a congressional run, whether you're running for a state office for the local for the state legislature, or even a local office for county commission, city council, a local mayor, anything like that. I want to be able to use my platform and my voice to help highlight your campaigns and to help you any way we can. We're all in this together. We're all working as best we know how to improve the state, to put better ideas forward, and to generally work to better our own communities. And we can do that as a team. And even if we can't necessarily travel hither and thither, we can call each other, we can set up Skype meetings or Zoom meetings. We can reach out to each other through technology and coordinate as best we can to get the message out there. And if nothing else, give moral support to each other. It can be very draining to run, and we all need each other's support to do that. So I'm out here not only asking you for support, but also asking to be able to help you all out as well in whatever your community initiatives are. We're in this together, and we are very much a working people grassroots organization focused highly on improving the communities that we all live in as best we can, hopefully without government permission. So again, I am always open to comments, questions. Reach out to me at any time of day or night. If I'm asleep, it might take me a few hours to get back to you, but I will get back to you. So thank you so much for your time. Susan, thank you so much for the opportunity to practice my impromptu stump speeches. And I want to say thank you to everybody so far who has helped me out as much as you have. My campaign staff, Joe Garcia right there is part of the, he's my super awesome campaign manager, and everyone else who has donated, who's helped me out, who's given me words of encouragement and advice behind the scenes. There are way too many to name. I will try to name you guys all and thank you in person when I can. But in the meantime, I want to say thank you again for your time. And as a politician, I will keep speaking until I'm cut off. So unless the chair or somebody else wants to mute my mic, I can
don't tempt me
all day.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really want to hear from some of the other candidates that we have going. We have a great slate, including a super awesome legislative candidate. Am I correct?
Many. So I know Mike is here. I know, so we have people running for office and people running for internal offices. Dr. Munger, would you like to say a few words?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, no. I have to say again, that hat is fantastic. I would just vote for that hat.
Susan,
Yes.
this is Joe. If I can make a suggestion,
Please.
maybe if Spike's been here the longest as a guest, maybe we could let him say a couple of minutes in case he has any other things he has to run off to.
If anyone has ordering suggestions, that's great. Tracy, I see your hand up. Does that mean you want to speak? I want to say before you say anything, Tracy, I'm not going to let you speak unless you have the sound quality issues. I see you. You want to speak as a candidate? Sorry. I will put you in the list, but it has to be better sound quality. Okay, so we are going to let Spike hear from Spike Cohen right now. He's running for vice president. Spike, go for it. I'm going to spotlight you.
Thanks, Susan. Hey, everybody. I actually didn't have a speech planned either because I had submitted a video and figured I would just be watching it with the rest of you. But I can go on for a couple minutes. I have two live shows that I do every week where I talk for hours live, so I should be able to wing it for a couple minutes. Guys, look, we knew before this whole COVID pandemic and ensuing lockdown and everything that happened that government is a terrible way to do things. That at best they make problems worse, and at worst they actually create the problem. With COVID, we know they actually created and made it worse. They created the problem by barring testing back when it could have been contained. We only even knew that there were people that had it in the U.S. that had COVID in late January and early February because of people that were illegally testing for it and illegally releasing those results. Otherwise, we'd probably still be told that everything's fine. But we already knew that. As libertarians, we already knew that government is not the solution, and more often than not, government is the main problem, if not one of the problems. The reason I decided to run is because we have some incredibly principled people who run for office, but we also often don't find a good way to thread the needle between having those principles and presenting them to a broader public that right now is exposed to a national conversation that's basically two sides arguing over which part of government to grow more than the other, how much government should grow, how much more government we need in our lives on a daily basis. They're not used to the idea of someone talking about actually reducing the size of government and the role of government in their lives, much less having the conversation of whether we even need government in the first place. And so in order to do that, you have to be able to speak to them at their level, reach them where they are, and do so in an entertaining way. That's what I've done with my show for both shows for the past 2 years. And I built up a following of several thousand followers, most of whom are not libertarians. They're people that watch the show because it's entertaining. And I'm able to put libertarianism in there while I'm doing it. And that was the natural progression of that was to get into this campaign. The idea that if we're going to spread a message, we have to subvert the current process. Libertarians have been trying for 49 years to use the process that has been put in front of us, that if we put up, respectable quote unquote candidates with, suits and ties and presenting themselves the same way that all other politicians present themselves, that this time, this election cycle, they're finally going to give us a seat at the table. We have been the Charlie Brown to their Lucy with the football for 49 years now. And at this point, I would argue that a deviation from the norm is worth at least a shot in at least one election cycle. And that's what I'm presenting. That's what Vermin's presenting. We are the opportunity. How many times have we sat around and said, man, if only we had principled libertarian candidates that we didn't have to apologize for when they say things that aren't libertarian or don't represent our platform. And imagine if they were incredibly popular, especially with the youth and outside of traditional libertarian circles. And imagine if the media couldn't stop paying attention to them. We have that with Vermin and me. We have candidates who are, in my mind, the pragmatic choice. We've been told that pragmatism is this idea of presenting a milquetoast candidate who's also not very popular. I would argue that it's hard to call something pragmatism when it never works and always fails. In my mind, that's not pragmatism, that's just fear of change. And so what I am offering is the opportunity to present an entertaining, empathetic, and inspiring message to a greater public that is conditioned to be scared of real freedom. And we're seeing that right now. We're seeing people that are encouraging each other to rat out their neighbors if they, try to have a barbecue and have some friends over, or, drive around a little bit too much. This is a public that has been conditioned to believe that this is the way things should be. And yet they innately know that something is wrong. That's why 46% of voters didn't vote in 2016. That's why so many people that do vote just hold their nose and vote for the what they see as the least terrible option. They innately know something's wrong, and they just need someone to present it to them in a way that they understand, in a way that speaks to the fears and anxieties and hopes and dreams that they have. And that's what I hope to do with my campaign. I also hope to bring or earn an unprecedented number of votes, not just for the White House, but all the way up and down the ballot. That's why we partnered with the amazing Kim Ruff, who has been helping us with down ballot outreach, because we're trying to grow the party from the top down, from voting from president and vice president all the way down the ballot. And that's what we hope to do with our ballot. Thank you guys so much for your time. I do this for 2 hours twice a week, so 2 minutes is hard for me. Sorry.
Yes. So I'm going to ask people, I really want to hear from everyone, but I know Dan's been waiting for hours and he has some great material to present for us. So I want to keep moving. Thank you so much, Spike. Who's next on my list? Tracy, are you ready to speak? I'm going to mute everyone because we had a potato chip muncher. And then where's Tracy? You can unmute yourself, or I can unmute you. Where did you get to? There you are. I'm going to unmute you. All right, Tracy, make your pitch.
There we go. Hey, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Everybody, my name is Tracy DeBruhl. I'm your congressional candidate for the 11th District. Spike brought up an excellent point. We got to think outside the box. Actually, I think that's the mayu for being libertarian, is we've always had to think outside the box. So, and I want to throw this out there for president, more with the theology of the war
Okay,
and not battle.
Tracy, I'm afraid your audio problems.
Your computer, or mute the computer.
There we go.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay, so within, like Spike said, I'm thinking out of the box, and this is actually for our presidential candidates. And you run across the numbers, whether we do it as a VP side offer, or if one of y'all will actually turn around and step back and offer on the presidential side, or if we can do it as a party, because the bare bones has actually been offered or been put together. Bernie Sanders has got 1/3 of the nation, and he's about as independent as they get, even though he's registered as Democrat. My actually recommendation or motion on this is to actually turn around.
Tracy, I'm not going to let you pitch Bernie Sanders here. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I've heard this, and you're not going to do it at our convention.
I second that, Susan. I second that.
Yep.
So
I'll even third that if that's a thing.
let's go on.
No, I'm thirding your fourth.
Okay, guys. I'm going to mute you all. Go back to eating your potato chips. Now we're not in the meeting, so nobody can use the rules against me. So let's go back to, is Joe here? Joe Jorgensen? Yes, I see you right here. I'm gonna,
Yes,
there we
I'm
go.
here. So a quick question, will you be showing my video also? I don't want to repeat what's in my video. If you're going to show my video, I could just answer questions.
I don't think we'll have time for that, so I'd love to hear from you.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Okay, fine. Well, some of you may know that I was Harry Brown's 1996 VP candidate. And during the years of 95 and 96, with the help of National, we doubled the party membership. And that's the largest growth we've had in the history of the party since then. And that's what I would like to do as the presidential candidate. Yes, votes are important. Yes, we want to get as many votes as possible, but we need to have more people in the party so that we have more candidates at all levels, state, local, and federal. Not only do we need candidates, but we need supporters. We need people to donate money, to knock on doors, everything else. And I'd like to say that I'm running a principled and yet practical campaign, which is the type that Harry Brown ran. You know, when I first joined the party, I was so excited about liberty and freedom. I went out and told everybody this great thing, and I was shocked by the reaction. People were saying, but you know, you only care about yourself, or you don't care about poor people. Or my favorite was, well, you know, not everyone's as smart as you are, so we have to have Social Security. And then I realized what I was doing after becoming an IBM marketing rep and after building my multi-million-dollar company. I realized that what I had been doing as a libertarian in the beginning was I was selling features, not benefits. And what's sad is that we've got so many benefits for so many people out there, for all the voters: a cleaner environment, safer streets, affordable health care. And when we go out, we need to go out and explain how we can improve people's lives. And that's what my candidacy would focus on, is to explain to people how freedom can help them. Not simply freedom, but how freedom can actually help them pay their medical bills. Also, we tend to talk about things that we're interested in. And what my campaign is doing is talking about what the voters are interested in. So we are talking about healthcare. That's on everybody's mind. It's literally a life or death situation, and people are not able to pay for their health care. I'm also going to be talking about the environment. Young people are interested in the environment. Young people are naturally libertarian. The very young, the people who are in college now, they're socially liberal. They're more tolerant. We need to explain to them how freedom can help. And also, I'd like to bring all of the troops home. I would like to turn America into one giant Switzerland, armed and neutral. So I don't see a timer on here, but how am I doing on time?
Pretty good. Did you have more? Or?
Sure, I can talk about how what I'd like to do is bring the message to voters out there and to a larger range of voters, we've got on my campaign team, I've got Steve Dasbach, who was national chair and executive director during the 90s, during our largest growth. I've got Joe Houtman. I've got a social media team to get out there and spread the word, because as libertarians, we have not been getting as many people as we need to get in. So again, votes are important, but membership is just as important. And rather than getting, I would rather have somebody join the party to give me votes for years on down the line than to just simply get votes so that for 1 year we've got a spike in votes and then the next year we go back to the way we've been doing things. So my website is joj2020.com. Again, that's joj2020.com. And I'd love to have you help out my campaign, donate a few dollars, whatever you'd like to do. So thank you so much. And I would like to remind you, I am your neighbor to the south here. I live in Greenville, South Carolina, and that's where we're running the campaign out of.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
So John and I are working to get the presidential preference poll up. I believe Joe is the only presidential candidate we have here. And
Susan, don't forget, we do have videos from candidates addressing
yeah,
the body.
and if people want to watch videos, we can do that, but we have people here, and I think we're gonna have to post those. Josh Smith has made the effort to be here, and I also want to run a poll for chair. So I would like to hear from Josh if he's available. I'm going to mute everyone. And then where is Josh? Oh, before Josh comes on, I'm sorry. Sean he said he wanted 20 minutes, 20 seconds. Sorry. Wait, hang on. You're muted. There you go. Okay, we're both hitting mute.
Okay. So, very good. I just wanted to announce that I am the Libertarian candidate in the special election to fill the rest of Richard Burr's term after he resigns. And I'd appreciate your support. Thank you.
Oh, that'll be fantastic. Okay. Josh, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. There you go. 2 minutes or less.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I appreciate you guys having me on the call. And I am extremely saddened that I couldn't be in North Carolina this weekend. I got to see you guys in 2018 for a very, very brief time after driving overnight from Ohio. So I was looking forward to spending the weekend with you guys instead of just a couple hours. But for those of you who know me, I'm sure you remember my campaign in 2018 for national chairman. I was running on a campaign full of promises and goals. I really had no meat to show anybody. I just said these things will work, and I knew that they would work. But you gave me the opportunity to become an at-large for the LNC. And in those 2 years, I've been able to kind of start putting that platform together and continue building that blueprint. I am the #1 recruiter on the Libertarian National Committee now. In 2019, the National Party saw the largest and fastest membership growth the party has seen in a non-presidential year in more than a decade. In fact, over a third of our national membership joined in 2019. And I'm very proud to know that I had a big hand in building that. Another thing that I said I would focus on outside of membership is obviously fundraising. One of the biggest fundraisers on the LNC as well, especially for membership. I've gotten us 2 max donors, and also the aggressive media and marketing campaigns. I think that we have a real opportunity to build a marketing team, a media team. And so I've been putting together what I call the regional media team. And it's essentially, we'll have somebody in every region that is out there constantly looking for media opportunities for us. They can take those media opportunities on behalf of the national party. I'm proud to have added people like Larry Sharp to that team. Also Eric here, Rodsep from North Carolina, has decided that he would like to be a part of that as well. And if you guys have seen the media that I've been building personally for my campaign, it's really high quality stuff. That's something that I want to start putting out from the national social media as well. I think we have a unique opportunity to use our social media to really push our principles and our platform and build membership. And membership's always going to be something that's extremely important to me. Like Joe said, 96 to 2000, the party grew exponentially. In fact, we had about 30,000 national members and almost a $3,000 budget, or what today would be more like a $5 million budget. We're working with half of that right now, and it's you know, that was prior to the COVID-19 issues. So to me, that's unacceptable. I think we need to continue to grow, and I think I've shown that I have the ability to grow the party, and I'm just asking you guys to give me the opportunity to do that from the chair position. I know that I can get it done, and I would appreciate your vote. So that's all I needed to say. I appreciate you guys having me on. I appreciate you guys doing innovative ideas to have this convention still, even though we're having this horrible crisis internationally. So thank you guys again.
Thank you, Josh. All right. Let me unspotlight you. Thank you. I really appreciate you making time to hang out with us. Okay, so I want to get the presidential vote out. I think, Joe Garcia, have you been paying attention to who the next candidate is that we want to address us?
I've been posting the videos on the convention page for the candidates who are not here. I don't know if we have anybody else. Any other guests?
I don't see. I'm looking through our list. So
I don't believe there are any candidates present.
Right. So I'm going to, you should be getting an email soon, those of you who put your email into that spreadsheet, for the presidential poll, and here on Zoom we'll run the chair poll. So let me send that email off really quick. Oh, right. Are you still here, Daniel? Mr. Fishman, did he bail?
Yes, I'm here.
Ah, there you are. Okay, let me find you. There you are. Beautiful. Are you ready to go?
Give me 30 seconds.
Actually, while you're getting ready, I'm going to run the, because I think we need to do those separate. I'm going to run the chair poll. That's ready to run. Let me do that if I can remember. Polls, here we go. LNC chair. There we go. I'm going to launch that and let that run and send off the email for the presidential poll. That has to be done by email.
And then I am ready, Madam Chair. What you done?
Okay. I'm just going to give people a little bit of time to vote. And it looks like we have 36 people who are going to vote. And
this is Stephen D. Fiore. I zoned out for a second. Is this the preference poll? Non-binding?
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification.
Already.
And you do not want non-LPNC members voting in this, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. No, I was just making sure.
I think if you get an email, okay, so it's asking me for money, and I've already given it money, so it's kind of weird.
Hey, Susan,
Yes.
is it too late to make a motion for convention next year being in
Yes.
Greensboro?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
I mean, you can certainly express, we're done business. So.
Right. Okay.
So that's weird. Okay. All right, you guys check your email. Someone check their email so I can make sure. Okay. We seem to, is anyone left to vote? And the LNC chair preference? I see 25, 31 votes cast. There's probably more.
You say we're supposed to put our email in some kind of a spreadsheet to get the chair, the presidential preference?
It was the spreadsheet that we were collecting for delegates. Did you?
No, because that's not a valid, it should be everybody who attended the convention, right?
Yeah, so that's when we ask everyone who is attending. Sorry if that didn't get through.
No, the state convention.
Yes, that's when I asked everyone who was in attendance at the state convention to add their email to that list.
Okay,
sorry.
well, I missed that because I mean, if I gave my email about 5 times on different forms, so.
I understand that. Let me see if this is returning any votes. I may have messed it up anyway. Okay, so it doesn't seem to be, okay, I'm just gonna stop it. Because I'm not sure if I had that right. Oh, wait, that was the wrong thing. That was the Judicial Committee. Let's see. Well, you're in luck because we're going to do this anyway.
Well, where's the link?
Hang on, I'm getting it. So if anyone would like okay, let's finish the polling for chair. It's been going for 4.5 minutes. So I'm going to end the polling. And it is, I'm going to take a screen capture instead of, I mean, in case that somehow screws up because chances are high. Okay, share results. Does everyone see the results? Does anyone see the results?
Yeah, I got them.
Okay. 30 votes for Josh Smith, 10 votes for Joe Bishop Henchman, and 8 votes for Noda is what I'm showing. So that's.
So what was that again, Susan? I'll type it into the chat so everybody has that. So 30.
30 for Josh, 10 for Joe Bishop Henchman, 0 for Mike Shipley, and 8 for Noda.
I'm sorry, you said 10 for Joe?
Yes. Zero for Mike Shipley, 30 for Josh, and 8 for Noda.
Okay.
Okay.
That's in the chat.
Yes. So let's get rid of that. So there was a spreadsheet that we were collecting emails for. I can't even remember what we were collecting them for. We were collecting them for.
Madam Chair, that was for the delegates. And then we also had another tab for non-delegates.
Yes, for people who were going to go. And I think actually, so for people who were going to be delegates to national. And Brian, you did not put your name in there?
I had added my name to the list you sent out to pre-register.
Right. Okay.
But if you're going to do a presidential preference poll at the state convention, it should be everybody there at the state convention, not just the 28 or 48 people are going to go to national.
Right. So at some point in the meeting, we said, let's
I missed that. Yeah.
I know. That's why I'm saying it now. So, what's your email address? Let me just type that.
Well, I'm on there now. I think I found it.
Okay. Just put it anywhere in that column, in that middle column.
LPNC delegates, right? Okay.
Yes. Just put it at the bottom of that column.
Gotcha.
And I appreciate it. Anyone else who would like to, who is a delegate?
Susan, there are 2 tabs on this spreadsheet. One is for delegates, one is for email addresses.
Okay, see that.
Okay.
And I think we need to have people add it to the emails tab at the bottom of the spreadsheet.
Okay, that'd be great.
Who the hell is Anonymous Iguana? Okay.
So I'm going to.
There are people editing it now. We can see.
That's cool. Got it.
Okay. All right. So anyone who has put in their information, that's good. Anyone who hasn't?
Make sure you're editing the right tab, the correct tab. I see some people editing the delegates tab. There are 2 tabs at the bottom of the screen.
Should we add an email to both? If it's on the first tab, does it need to be on the second tab?
The first tab was meant to be a list of people interested in being a delegate.
So it should just it should just be in the emails tab. Oh, I see what you were saying before. Yeah. I guess duplicates are no.
No, it should be that everyone who wants to be a delegate, their name and email is in the delegate tab, and everyone who's not going to be a delegate, their name and email should be in the other tab, and the sum of the 2 is everybody.
Right. Okay. So I need to collect both of those. Okay, that's great. So I'm glad you brought that up, Brian, because that explains the discrepancy in numbers. So I'm going to send this out here, but I'm not sure I'm going to give people time to vote. So we'll probably want to announce the vote after people have had time to vote.
D. Watson, I think your email address was entered possibly incorrectly. There we go.
Where were you entering that? The emails tab?
Yes.
Okay, because okay, so whatever editing anyone's doing, I'm just taking what I get from there now. So, okay, great. Now, Daniel, I will send this email out, so that's not dependent on anything. If you are still here and you still want to speak to us, I would love to hear from you.
I am happy to do that. I don't want to burden the convention, though. I worry some of you may have deep vein thrombosis from having been in your chairs for so long. On the other hand, I also want you guys to have a convention, and a convention is, you know, speakers coming in from out of town. And so I am happy to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. If you guys feel like you needed to walk out or wander away or anything like that, that's totally fine. One thing that I'm going to do is.
Wait, sorry, hang on.
a thumbs up into the camera, I'll see it, and that'll mean a lot for me because, you know, a good presentation is interactive. So knowing what you guys are feeling and hearing while I'm doing this is going to be a big deal. So with that being said, thank you very much for having me here, Susan. I'm excited to be in North Carolina virtually. I'm more excited for coming back and having some barbecue next year, but we're going to make that happen. I'm here to talk a little bit about persuasion versus coercion. And I want to talk about it now because what's happening in our country, the country has never needed us more. It has never needed libertarians more. It has never needed our voice more. And you guys know that intrinsically. You see the stuff that's happening. I don't know if you saw de Blasio yesterday saying that they need to start drafting doctors and forcing them to work in hospitals, and other violations that are coming along of just, you know, basic liberties. But when we talk about, you know, that sort of thing with people, we tend to lose because they say, oh, well, we have to have this right now. We have to have this level of government intervention in our lives because it's such a disaster. Our argument boils down to two simple things. Do we think persuasion is better than coercion? Persuasion is trying to convince somebody, and coercion is using force. And it kind of has to be a one or the other. There's not a point in time where you can really mix between those things. So how many of you guys know what this is? You can raise your hands. I see a lot of hands raising. That's great. You guys all know this is D-Day, right? These are American boys storming ashore, June 6, 1944. I do appreciate a more mature audience. I gave this talk at a college. I said, who knows what this is? And they said, oh, that's Saving Private Ryan. We've seen that. So the interesting thing about this, though, is that the victors really do write history. I had the great good fortune to study in England for a year. And while I was there, I took a 4-week course, the history of World War II, taught by different allied professor each week. So the first week was the British history of World War II, which is very Churchill and British centric. The Americans didn't want to get in the war, so the British had to hold out and save all of Europe until finally Churchill convinced Roosevelt to get in. And then Churchill had to stop Roosevelt, who was made senile by polio, from giving away all of Eastern Europe. That was the British version. The American version I knew. The Russian version of World War II is the British and the Americans wanted the Germans to kill us, but we were too strong, and so then they decided to help us instead. And then the French version of World War II is how we cunningly pretended to surrender so that we could sabotage the Germans from behind their lines. And of course, we all know what we really think happened, but it's true. The victors are the ones who write history. And we learned the American version of World War II. So to that end, I want to go to this page real quick. And let me see if I can pull this up with a screen share real quick. This is a virtual wall, and it tells you the number of people who have died in World War II in your state. And I'm going to do a quick screen share on this, assuming that I can. Because I want you guys to see what North Carolina is like. You've probably seen it. Share screen 2. And so I'm hoping that my screen is up right now. Is it screen 2? What are you guys seeing? Somebody come on and tell me.
RimWorld?
That's the wrong screen.
RimWorld is a great game, though. There's no shame in that. None at all.
Yeah. No, I'm a huge RimWorld fan. But so this is casualties in Vietnam in North Carolina. And if I start scrolling through this, and you guys are probably going to see towns that you know, it's pretty shocking. The amount of people who died. And the draft is arguably the greatest loss of life, the greatest violation of liberty in our lifetime, right? The government came in and said, we are taking these boys, we are taking them off to war where they can be killed. We're going to make them fight against their will. And We haven't had a draft since then because what ended the draft, right? It was people rebellion against government. It was people, hippies marching in the street. It was protesters at the Democratic convention. And I don't want to miss a town here. The list from North Carolina is amazing. And like, I mean, the last time I did this, I have no idea where Horseshoe, North Carolina is. I don't know if any of y'all do, but I'm guessing it's not a big town. And for 3 boys to have died from there, you know, in this short period of time, astonishing. It's the worst thing that our country has ever done to ourselves in our lifetime, bro. Those of you who are as old as I am. Let me stop sharing this. And now hopefully you're back and you see my screen again. That level of violation of liberty, of government stepping up and doing that sort of thing, we are on the cusp of that again. And so I want to talk a little bit about the coronavirus and what's happening right now in North Carolina. So the first thing I want to say is that I don't know if you guys have watched much LPTV. It's a new thing the Libertarian Party is doing. Tomorrow at 4 p.m., we are going to have a really huge broadcast. It's on the Libertarian Party Facebook page. It'll be on the Libertarian Party YouTube page. And it's going to be really earth-shattering. It's so big that I don't want to tell you guys what it's about yet. We're not publicly announcing it, but it is a big deal. North Carolina has been impacted, and actually a lot of the South, in a terrible way by the government. A lot of distilleries, you might know, have been asked for permission to make and sell hand sanitizer, because hand sanitizer needs alcohol. And in fact, the higher proof that you can get, the easier it is on your hand. So if you can get a 190 proof alcohol in Everclear, you can mix it with a lot of aloe vera. It's not bad on your hands, but it still has high enough level of alcohol to keep your hands safe. I've been making my own with Everclear. I would recommend you guys do that as well. So distilleries wanted to start making that, and a lot of states, I don't know what the law is in North Carolina. In Maryland, we can't actually sell 190 proof. We can only sell 189 proof. That's still pretty good. You can make a good hand sanitizer out of that. But a vodka company recently said, well, we're going to crank up and we're going to start cranking out hand sanitizer. We'll make the alcohol here. We'll mix it with the aloe vera, and that'll be great. And the government said, no, you can't do that. You guys, if you start making alcohol that strong, it violates the moonshining laws, which I believe in North Carolina you are familiar with. And because you're going to violate the moonshining laws, we're not going to let you sell that stuff. So the alcohol companies, the distilleries said, well, you know what? We'll just give it away. Everybody who wants to buy a bottle of vodka, we're going to give you a little thing of hand sanitizer with the alcohol that we made. And so we're giving it away, right? How can that be illegal? How can it be illegal to give something away? And the government said, no, you can't even give it away because we're worried that people will drink it somehow. And so what we need you to do is we need you to denature your alcohol, essentially put a little bit of poison in it so that people won't get drunk off the hand sanitizer that they've made, which is crazy, right? The idea that you would have to put a little bit of poison in there so that nobody's going to drink the hand sanitizer that everybody desperately needs right now. And of course, the distilleries respond and they're like, well, we can't do that because if we run that poison through our machine, when we make regular alcohol again, we have to worry about the fact that there's a trace of that in there. So we can't do that. So the FDA has actually stopped distilleries in the United States from making hand sanitizer. And I don't know about you guys, it's been pretty hard to find hand sanitizer. I had a aloe vera plant at the beginning of this, which I have crushed up and used to make hand sanitizer with Everclear. But right now, it's terrible, right? And we see that sort of thing. Face masks, it's another intervention by the FDA where you guys have probably seen the thing that there were cases in factories of face masks, N95 face masks that could have been used that the FDA won't release, or some that were over a year old and therefore technically weren't legit anymore, but they didn't want to allow them to be used. And then I want to talk about 2 companies you guys are probably familiar with, Heat Biologics and I see it's backwards on my screen. So bio, yeah, you got it. Medomics. Are you guys familiar with this? Anybody? A little raise of hands. So these are two companies in North Carolina that are making accurate COVID tests that are not allowed, until very recently, were not allowed to be sold in the United States. And in fact, the guys at the bottom, Medomics, so hard to read backwards. Their test was used in China and was used in South Korea. The reason why the Chinese and the South Koreans, and just to talk about what our new normal is going to be like, there's going to be a lot of testing. There's going to be cheap testing. And the way that we get back to normal is that every day, maybe every 2 days, you're going to test yourself. And when you get that done, you get to go out and see your friends, stuff like that. You come back in, 2 days later, you test yourself again. So that we're going to catch things in real life. Because if everybody's testing yourself, you know, you have a pretty good feeling about where you are. And talking about where we are, I want to see if you guys have seen this chart. So this is the COVID cases by deaths in North Carolina. And this is a sobering number. And I will tell you another sobering stat that came up for me recently is that in my home state of Massachusetts, which I left to move down to DC to become the executive director, they have started converting ice rinks into into temporary morgues, because that's where it's going to go. And I know North Carolina, you guys have you know, a couple of excellent hospitals in Charlotte and the Duke Hospital up in Durham. You're going to have a similar thing like Massachusetts did, where your death numbers are actually going to lag significantly, because the best of all possible medical care is being used to prolong the lives of people who have died faster in other places, but it's unclear where it's going to go. But if you guys look at this stat, you can see that this is from today, by the way. Your deaths are growing right now at about 1.3 a day, which means it doubles in about every 3 days. And you just look at this chart, you guys are 6 days past when you had 5 deaths, and that's when they start everybody's chart. So in 10 days, and right now you're roughly at, this is a logarithmic scale, so it's a little tricky, but you guys are roughly at 30 dead. By the end of the week, by the end of next week, you guys are looking at 150 dead in North Carolina. And assuming that you're going to continue on the same schedule, so 7 days after that, you guys are probably looking at close to 1,000 dead in North Carolina. And that's astonishing. And we're here because of the FDA. And the reason I put this in this line is that if I were to go back and point out to you the number of deaths in North Carolina, in 3 weeks, the number of deaths in North Carolina from Corona is going to exceed the number of deaths from Vietnam. In America, this is already true. We have exceeded number of deaths from Corona in the United States, exceeded Afghanistan 2 weeks ago. It exceeded Iraq last week. And in 2 weeks, the number of American dead will exceed the number dead from in all of Vietnam, which is insane. And it is indeed very dark. We didn't get here because Americans are stupid. We didn't get here because people didn't know what to do. American companies knew what to do, and they were doing it, and they were selling those tests in Korea. They were selling those tests to China. They couldn't sell them here because the FDA said we have to have control of it. And in fact, there's a test out right now that will tell you whether or not you have COVID, that you're not allowed to use. It was made by Abbott Labs. People who know healthcare, Abbott Labs is a big, giant company. They had to recall that test because it told you whether or not you were infected. And the CDC said, no, we want all the tests to come back to us so that we know the actual numbers of infections in the country. You know, I appreciate the CDC wants to know that, but that shouldn't stop you from finding out as quickly as possible whether you or your loved ones, somebody you know, is infected. Government is crushing us right now. We didn't have to be here. And there's a unique opportunity for libertarians to bring this message. So I'm going to go on to the next slide. I lost track of where I was. Here I am. Après-moi le déluge. Anybody know who said it? I see a bunch of hands up. It's Louis XIV. He knew that his son Louis XV was an idiot. And he said, this kid is never going to be able to hold France together afterwards. Someone French is a good answer. He knew that Louis XV would be able to hold together. As it turns out, revolution happens during Louis XVI. But when I told you I went to school in England for a year. I took another class in which we studied the history of the French Revolution, and we didn't read anybody else's interpretation of it. All we did was we read all the newspapers in France because they have all the primary documents. So there are four main newspapers in France. One is the peasants' paper, cost 1 cent. There was the merchants' paper, sort of a business paper, the French Wall Street Journal of its day. There was a clerical paper that talked about what the church was doing. And then there was the royalist paper that people read and found out about what the lifestyles of the rich and famous. So on the day of the Bastille, when the Bastille was stormed and all the political prisoners were set free, the peasants' paper said, "Tremendous victory, political prisoners set free." And the businessman's paper, the Wall Street Journal of the day, said, "Huge traffic jam at the Bastille, fish spoils on carts." The clerical paper said, "Tons of casualties at the Bastille, church offers first aid and hospitalization." And the royalist paper said, "Today the king went falconing." So even then, 1789, there's bias in the media, and the media is not telling you the whole story. And depends on what source you read. That's how you find out what's happening. We know that's what's happening in the United States right now. Anybody who's watched knows, and libertarians, we know that we're supposed to be skeptical, right? We know that CNN has their version, MSNBC has their version, Fox has their version. But what we don't know is how much that is polarizing us. And when you think of polarization, right, you think of Happy Days. That's at least that. The reason I bring up Happy Days is that when I grew up, Happy Days was the most popular show on television. Everybody watched it. And when I went to school the next day, we all talked about what we saw on Happy Days. Or alternatively, older people will be able to complete the phrase, plop, plop, fizz, fizz. I see some of you mouthing it. Oh, what a relief it is. That was the Alka-Seltzer commercial that was incredibly popular in the 70s. We don't have that shared media experience anymore, right? There's 250 cable channels worth watching, and you can't pick them all. Nobody listens to the same radio station anymore. Nobody gets their news from the same place. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's great that the free market has worked like that. But the idea that we have a collective experience to make political judgments from, or that when we try to have a political conversation, that the person is going to see things or have the same information that we do, we have to give up on that idea because that's not true anymore. And that's where I come back to the basic idea of persuasion versus coercion, okay? Because the fact that we don't have this similarity of background, similarity of ideas anymore, we're not going to have the unanimity of ideas, of thoughts that people even just 40 years ago had. Finding a way to get persuasion, to get everybody to think, because we have this this wide background, that we can't use laws, we can't use coercion. That's the big argument that libertarians have to figure out how to make. Is that we don't want to say, we want this. We don't want to say, oh, we want to end the school system. We don't want to say, oh, we want to end taxation. I mean, of course we want all those things, right? We don't want to say legalize cannabis, legalize marriage equality, any of those things, because those aren't relevant. What we're really arguing about is we should be using persuasion and not coercion. It's never okay to use force to get your way. The core, right, of our NAP. Libertarians, we believe two things, right? Number one, you own your body. Nobody gets to decide what goes into it, what comes out of it, anything like that. You own your body. And something that comes from that is that you own the product of your labor as well. So nobody else gets to tell you what happens with the money that you earn. Nobody has a preemptive right to it. So number one, you own yourself. Number two, it's not okay to use force, aggression, coercion against another person. You can use force in self-defense, of course, but no aggression. I mean, exactly. We're all in favor of force and self-defense. You do what you need to do to help yourself, to make yourself feel safe. But using force against somebody else is never okay. Persuasion versus coercion. And that's the only argument really that we have to have when we talk to people. And it is our heritage. One of the oldest documents, you know, I'm a history fan. And we talk a lot about, you know, the Constitution is this amazing document, the Declaration of Independence. The Mayflower Compact is actually one that I think that we don't talk about enough. So, you know, the Pilgrims, everybody knows the basic story of the Pilgrims. They were seeking religious freedom. They came over to the United States. They were supposed to come to Virginia, but bad weather, they got lost. They ended up off the tip of Cape Cod. And then they said, we're lost. We're not going to be able to make it to Virginia. We're not going to be able to fulfill our charter. But where we are, we can make a home for ourselves. We can have a good life if we voluntarily bind ourselves to each other. And so they made this compact, a contract. They agreed, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bind ourselves together. And, you know, not as many people as they think were actually seeking religious freedom. A lot of people went there who were just carpenters, right? Masons, people who wanted to make a life in the new world. People who voluntarily bound themselves to each other. And that's okay. That's what libertarians support, the idea that we voluntarily can bind ourselves together. And so just south of you guys in South Carolina, right? They don't have a shelter in place right now, but I don't know if Joe's still on here, but I was talking to Steve Dosbach, her campaign manager. People didn't have to be told. They didn't need a law saying, hey, don't go hang out together in these very crowded places. Voluntarily, people bound together. And the people who aren't going to do that, you're probably not stopping them, right? I mean, those people are going to get together, they're going to assemble, and it's a problem. But at what point do we really need to get in there? And did we need to have an order? I mean, so here in Maryland, restaurants are all closed except for takeout. We didn't need that order. We're not congregating together. The restaurants would have figured that out, you know, and the restaurants who want to. I saw a great thing with Tom Colicchio talking about how the restaurant business is going to change. He's already redesigning his restaurants so that when you go into them now, you are not going to sit within 6 feet of another table, another person. They're not going to jam you in there. And that's what the restaurant business is going to look like in the future, because people they're not going to want to sit next to each other, crammed into a place. He didn't need a law for that. The market takes care of all that stuff. And because it's voluntary. And so the Mayflower people, when they bound themselves together voluntarily, they set a precedence for us in the United States of religious tolerance. And the religious tolerance is an important thing because we have almost perfect religious tolerance here, right? Christians and Jews and Hindus and Zoroastrians and Sikhs and any other religion that I can think of, we all live together relatively peacefully with each other. And at no point in time do Catholics think, you know what, if we win an election, then everybody's going to have to live under the Catholic rules. Or Jews think if we win an election, then no more bacon for anybody. But why do we think if Republicans win an election that we all have to live under the Republican rules? Or if Democrats win an election, we live under Democratic rules? It's crazy. We have to have that level of tolerance. And that's the argument of persuasion versus coercion. If we can convince people that it's not okay to use coercion, it's not okay to use laws and force, if we can get to that level, we're going to start winning a lot more arguments and we're going to make a difference. And the reason why we want to win those arguments is math. Imagine you're on the Titanic, right? It's sinking down. You're one of the lucky people who gets into a lifeboat. They hold 17 people. 9 of you are convinced that land is that way. 8 of you are convinced land is that way. If you all, and we're going to assume a little bit of think that everybody rows equally strongly the same direction, If 9 of you row that way and 8 of you row that way, you're going to move 1 mile an hour that direction. So in 3 hours, you'll have gone 3 miles. If the 9 of you can just convince the other 8 to not row against you, you say, you know what? Don't fight us on this, but we'll make you a deal. If you guys don't work against us, we'll go 3 hours this direction, and we'll go further. We'll actually go 3 times 9, 27 miles in this direction. And if we don't find land by then, we will row with you the other direction. So you guys row by yourself. You don't even have to have those 8 people go with you. 9 of you go that direction, 27 miles. You don't find land, you turn around and you row back the other direction, 17 miles at a time. I can't do that math. 51. So in 3 hours, you'll have gone 51 miles the other direction. So you'll have gone farther if you can convince people to not work against you, or if you can convince people to work together. Finding a way for us to do that, the Libertarians, not coercion, right? Not coercion, not using force, but persuasion, persuading people to at least stop working against us, to at least work together. That's the essence of what we need to do. And finding the arguments that make a difference. Here's one that I like, and it shocks libertarians. I tell people, you know what, libertarians, we are the party that is tough on crime. And when I say that in a group of libertarians, they're like, what? No, we're not tough on crime, but we actually are. We are the toughest of crime of any party. And the reason why is because we don't want there to be so many criminals, right? And how do we get there? Well, for most libertarians, that's obvious. Laws require law enforcement, which injects force into our society. So we're very interested in finding a way to say, we want a less violent society. Laws require law enforcement, which injects force. So if we have less violence, we need to have less law enforcement. And the way that we have less law enforcement is if we have less laws. It's a very straightforward argument. There's a bunch of examples that, you know a lot of them, right? You know the one about the girls who wanted to sell lemonade to raise money for their dad's birthday party, and the police rolled up on them and they said, you can't sell lemonade because you don't have a food permit. So the girls, they got lucky that a reporter came up and said, well, what's this police car doing harassing these girls? And the older of the two, who's going to be a great CEO someday, said, Mr. Reporter, would you please tell everybody that tomorrow we are going to be giving away lemonade for free and taking donations for my dad's birthday party? Because, of course, you can give away lemonade for free all you want. And so they made tons of money. That's the right way to do it, right? How can it be illegal to sell something that you can give away for free? Another great example, though, of a stupid law that ends up interfering, and this one's less funny, it's especially less funny now, excuse me, is the guy in, that's not Corona, that's just seasonal allergies, I promise. There's a guy in Florida, you guys probably saw this, who saw a large collection of homeless people in his hometown of Boca Raton, and decided, you know what? I got a grill, as everybody in Florida does. I'm going to go out there and I'm start cooking breakfast for these people every Sunday morning. And of course, how did the people of Boca Raton respond? They they arrested him, right? They put him in jail for feeding the homeless. The reason why is because they felt like him feeding the homeless encouraged the homeless to come there. But, this is a guy, and his argument was strong. He's like, look, I'm a religious man. There is a clear message in my scripture that says, feed the homeless, and they said, oh, we don't care. I mean, fortunately, it went down, and yes, I will hurry up and try to wrap up. We got down, he went to jail, went to the Supreme Court. He was eventually released, and Florida changed the law. But laws requiring law enforcement, injecting force into our society, that's our persuasion versus coercion argument, where we tell people, you don't need to use force. You don't need to use laws to make those things. We know a lot of places where freedom makes a big difference for people. Okay, Uber, the ability to drive very quickly for people. People who start their own businesses, that's going to be what gets us out of this, right? We don't know what the actual solution is to this terrible crisis that we're in, economic, medical, et cetera. But we know that entrepreneurs get us out of all this stuff. The regulations for starting new business are terrible, but everything that's good that's happened in this crisis has happened when government gets out of the way, right? They got rid of the speed limit so that truckers couldn't deliver supplies faster. We have issues where the FDA has finally stepped aside a little bit, and people have been allowed to reuse equipment that was safe for them to use. All these things where getting the government out of the way, all these tests that are finally coming online, it happens when government gets out of the way. And the safety that comes out of our knowing that we'll have an economic recovery. The economic recovery is going to happen when government gets out of the way. We need to stop out of this cycle and say, anybody who wants to start a business, start a business. You don't need to file. You don't need to go through the bureaucracy, all that stuff. Getting in government out of the way is going to be that saves us that. And where it comes down to is that the Libertarian Party are the people that are doing that. I want to show this chart very quickly. We talked about it. Josh alluded to it in his talk. 2019 was a really amazing year for us in terms of growth. We brought in a lot of people, but if you look quickly at that R1 number to the right, that's the number of people we retain after 1 year. We are consistently in the 40% level. 2016 was a bad year because a lot of people who might not have been hardcore libertarians came in. We only retained 36%. But if you look at that second year, we're usually in the 70%. If we can get people to stay past 1 year, they're going to stay with the party for a longer time. So that's on you guys. There's a lot of new people here. A lot of people, this is their first convention. You're the ones who have to make them feel welcome. You're the ones who have to make sure that they understand this is not a small commitment. It's a longer commitment because we are growing the party, even in this environment, even in this Corona environment. In fact, more so now than ever. We're getting a lot of new people in, and they don't know a lot, but they know the government's been screwing stuff up. We got to be the ones who say, hey, we agree with you. Government's been screwing stuff up. You don't have to agree with me on everything right now. But as long as you agree the government's screwing some stuff up, we've got a place to work from. And so I'm asking for you guys to be able to do all this together. The last thing I want to say is talk about ballot access. You guys are probably familiar that if you've ever had to petition, this is the worst environment ever to petition in, right? You knock on somebody's door, they're not answering the door. You're standing outside someplace where you can't even do it, asking people to sign a piece of paper. All that's gone away. We have a lot of lawsuits going on right now and a lot of potential lawsuits where we're essentially saying we need to not allow, petitioning has to end. I don't know what it's like in North Carolina if you guys have to petition for down tickets, but we are asking every governor across the country to remove all petitioning requirements. We've had 3 pretty big wins so far. Connecticut has said any libertarian who wants to run anywhere will automatically be on the ballot. That's a big win for us. New Jersey and Utah have both implemented an electronic petitioning thing, which we're going to fight against. Essentially, it says that you can download, print a petition, sign it, and then email it back to the Secretary of State. Frankly, for me, that's A, computer literacy test, B, a poll tax, because you have to have a printer in order to be able to print it out. And not everybody has a printer. Actually, I'm a computer guy. I don't have a printer in my house. So we are probably going to win on those things. Oh, you know, I didn't realize I didn't put the ballot access thing up there. We're probably going to win on a lot of ballot access cases, but it's one of those things that's a big deal for us. And so please pay attention to the news. I don't know exactly, like I said, I don't know what the scenario is in North Carolina. If your down ticket candidates need to petition, if you need to do that for Congress or for Senate, but whatever it is, please be aware of the fact that it's up to us as libertarians to try to be the voice of reason right now. And so my last ask of you guys, a lot of times I'll say, please make a donation to ballot access. I'm not going to ask for that because what I need is more important. I need you guys to take care of yourselves. The country needs us now more than ever. It needs the Libertarian Party more than ever. The people who are saying the FDA is terrible, because the Republicans and Democrats are both falling over themselves to say, we need more government to solve these problems. More government doesn't solve this problem. The government is killing us right now. The FDA has hurt Americans. The FDA has to go away. America needs the Libertarian Party, and the Libertarian Party needs you. So my request, please wash your hands. Universal precautions. Take care of yourselves, because this stuff is going to turn around. And when it does, libertarians are going to be the key to make sure that we don't see massive expansions of government afterwards. They're talking about job programs, they're talking about drafting doctors. We have to be those voices. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Thank you guys for having me here.
Thank you. That was fantastic. I really appreciate it. Let me turn you down there. Did anyone have any questions for Daniel?
Yeah, I am happy to answer any questions people might have about National Party. No, I don't know anything about the convention, but anything else, feel free to ask.
I wish. I think we may have taxed people, if I may use that phrase,
Yeah, no, I agree.
to their max. I should have built in some breaks. I shared the presidential preference poll results. I'll probably run a larger scale one at some point. Any questions for Dan? Oh, I love that background. Thanks everyone for showing up.
Susan, this is Joe Garcia. Quick question. Eric Rodsep was wondering if he'd have a chance to just address the body briefly.
Oh, right. I left some people out. I know I did. I feel like there was someone else, but yeah, Eric, please do. Thank you, Dan. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's been a phenomenal convention, and this is my home state, so even better to see how smoothly this is run. I am running for LNC at large, so I definitely ask for support from my home state as well. I also encourage everyone to go to Eric Rodsep, that's capital E, capital R, on Facebook, and like and follow. That's where you're going to get a lot of campaign updates and the ongoings of me running around the country as much as I can at this point, running for LNC at large. It's been wonderful. I know I've talked to a lot of individuals throughout North Carolina, and a lot of people have indicated their support for me, and that is so appreciated. Also running to all the different state conventions prior to Corona has been a great experience, and also thanks to everyone who's given their support in that regards. State chairs from across the country, particularly Region 2, Region 5, and Region 6, have supported my nomination or my election to the LNC. And other prominent individuals have given words of support, like Jim Lark. I don't know if you're still on the call, but thank you for your kind words and the conversations that we've had on the phone. One of the things that I want to bring to the LNC is my real world experience. I've worked for candidates on the Republican Party prior to becoming a Libertarian, or prior to the realization that I'm a Libertarian, which occurred over 18 years ago at this point. And I've been active in the Libertarian Party for over 10 years. You know that I am a senator emeritus here in North Carolina. I've served on the executive committee. I'm currently the coalition director here in North Carolina. My activism, I think, hopefully speaks for itself, and I look forward to serving on the national aspect. Well, one of the other aspects that I believe that's very important is that this isn't glorification in any way. Serving on the LNC is really serving. It's not, you don't do it for yourself, you do it for the greater good of all the members of the party. And I know, so I have the support of so many of you, and for that I am truly grateful. Thank you so much, and I look forward to potentially seeing people in Austin if everything goes well. Otherwise, we'll figure it out, and we'll create the rules as we need to make sure that we have a successful convention in one way or another. Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. So a couple of people have asked for a VP preference poll. I think I'm gonna end the meeting actually. If someone wants to, we can do one online later. I don't even know who's running for VP, and so I don't have time or energy to honestly to look it up, put everything in, and do a vote. I didn't want to cut anything short. If anyone has a question for Eric, happy to entertain it.
And I would be happy to take questions if there are any.
Thanks for hanging in there to the end, guys. I thought we'd go to about 1, and so that's actually not
I
bad.
apologize. I did raise my hand.
Yeah.
I did have a quick question for Eric, if I could.
Oh, yeah.
Eric, that background, in your background, you have a magazine, the Metro Times. Could you give me the details on what magazine that is? I'd like to read the article that was based on the cover.
Yes, it's from the Detroit Metro Times. It was the cover art for an article they ran back in 2016 for the presidential election. I can see if I can find the article and send it towards you.
That would be awesome. I would greatly appreciate it. My email address is my name, the number 4NC, ADRIAN, the number 4NC at Yahoo.
Okay.
I'd love to be able to get that information. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great. Anybody have anything else? Hi, Tim. It's good to see you. Late. Just kidding.
Hello, Susan.
Hey. Well, it's been fantastic seeing all of you. And trying to, oh, here's where the hand raises are. Okay. Unless anyone has anything else, I'm out of here.
I'm going to post I found it really quick. I'm going to post the link to the article in the chat box here.